Okay, so hopefully we are live now. Sorry, I'm 3 minutes late because I was having a little bit of a problem, as usual with OBS or with the YouTube live interface. I really don't know which. So yeah, I'm happy to see so many familiar faces in the chat. I apologize; it's been so long since I've streamed. There's kind of a lot going on right now, and because I am poor at time management, I feel like I'm now stuck in this situation where I'm trying really hard to get the next quote unquote big episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly out, and so that's why there hasn't been any other content. Like, I'd already kind of promised myself that I wasn't going to do any more magazine read-throughs until the new episode was done, but then I didn't even really want to make CGQ Plus episodes until it was done, because it's all just kind of a distraction. Like, I even feel bad that I'm streaming tonight, but I mean, it's our 8th anniversary, so what choice do we have? And fittingly, down on the little fake iPad or tablet there, I've got the fan art, the TNC Surf Designs inspired fan art, because that was the very first ever episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly, which was released 8 years ago today, which 8 years is pretty crazy, because part of me feels like, wow, it's been 8 years, but then part of me also feels the opposite, like, wow, really, it's only been 8 years, because in some ways it feels like it's been longer than that. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like, I feel like I've been doing YouTube for a really long time, but I guess 8 years is a long time. So yeah. Okay. So what are we doing today? So I put out a tweet. I tweeted a poll. I put up a Twitter poll yesterday, basically saying that we're doing this live stream tonight and giving people, two options. Like, do you want to play some video games, or do you want to do a live magazine read through? And the magazine read through won, but it was pretty close. It was something in the neighborhood of like 55-45 or 57-43. And so I just figured I was going to kind of do something that I thought would make everybody happy no matter which way you voted, which is that we're going to do a magazine, like casual magazine flip through, but I have the Mister hooked up and already turned on, and so we're actually going to play some of the games that we see in this magazine. So this view is going to go away in a minute. I'm not going to be on the HDTV anymore. I understand that my webcam is 4:3 instead of 16:9. I just can't figure out how to make it work. So it's an HD webcam, so you tell me. I don't really get it. So, I think this is a cool idea for a live stream. Hopefully it ends up being a cool live stream, because this is the kind of thing where I could see wanting to do this more often on a live stream, whether somebody joins us or we just do it, with me flying solo or something. But I just feel like sometimes there's magazines where, like, I think it's a cool magazine, but maybe it's not. Maybe I just don't feel like it's quite good enough to really warrant getting like the full Let's Read treatment on the other channel. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe this magazine kind of falls into that category. I don't know. I think this is a pretty cool magazine. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the view over here in just a second, but I'm just looking at the chat real quick. I have this in like ultra low latency mode, but it doesn't feel that low latency to me. So somebody asked, are things normal yet over there? I would say mostly. Things are definitely getting back to normal, so that feels nice. Would you produce content for the new G4 TV? Well, first of all, I don't think they would ever ask me to, so I don't think that really matters. But I would have to say probably not, just because I don't think I really would have time to do something like that. But that's okay, because like I said, I don't think they're gonna, they're looking for people who are more like personalities, and I don't really fall into that category. So hey Sam, it's good to see you too, man. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch the view. It's gonna be the same overlay. But, oh, look at that. Wow. All right. So the issue we're taking a look at here today, it's funny. I could have sworn up and down that I did a read through of this maybe not this exact issue, but of a Game Players, and I looked on my channel and I hadn't, which I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy or something, but whatever. So I've never done a read through of any Game Players, so I just wanted to kind of quickly talk about Game Players for just a minute. First of all, as far as just like how I got this magazine, just because it was a cool memory for me. I don't know if there's anybody watching right now who lives in the Los Angeles area, but I got a stack of these, including this one, at Frank and Sons. So if anybody out there knows what Frank and Sons is, that's where I got these. So this is issue number 3 of Game Player. So it got started in I guess the spring of '89, because this is the the July August issue or something. I don't think it says in here, but I think I saw it on Retro Mags. But yeah, I think it's the July August issue. If somebody wants to look it up on Retro Mags and double check for me, that would be cool. But like I said, I'd already looked. But so this magazine got started in '89. It kind of got started as they were making strategy guides, magazine format strategy guides, and selling those on newsstands. And I guess that morphed in to this magazine, who I had never heard of the publisher, which makes sense because they didn't last very long. It's Signal Research Incorporated, which is kind of a weird name for a publisher, I thought. And they only lasted until 1991 or maybe 1992. If you go to Retro Mags, there's separate entries in the database for Game Players that started in '89, which is this one, and then there's a separate entry for Game Players that started in 1992 or 1993. And that's because what happened is this Signal Research company basically went bankrupt, and got sold off. The publishing division of that company got sold off to some investors or something, and they ended up relaunching the magazine. And so you may have seen Game Players that looks like this. So this one is from September of 1993. So it's kind of the same magazine and kind of not. It's like a relaunched magazine. I'm sure it has all new personnel and everything. And this is also a much nicer quality magazine in terms of you probably won't be able to tell on camera, but this magazine, the paper, I would say the paper of this magazine reminds me of something like a Sears catalog, as far as it's ridiculously thin. And but here this magazine is more of the same quality of EGM or GamePro. So and then the whole reason I'm kind of pointing this out is just that there's sort of a certain pedigree here. The same company that put out Game Players, some of the people that had worked for Game Players, which I don't have one in front of me. Game Players got renamed Ultra Game Players a little bit later, a couple of years later, and then they started putting out PSM. And then shortly after PSM launched, Ultra Game Players, as it was called by then, they shut down that magazine. So that's all just to say that there's just sort of a certain pedigree here, and PSM is one of my all-time favorite video game magazines. And so it's kind of cool, reading an old issue of Game Players is just kind of going back to its roots or whatever. And sorry, before we get into that, I just want to see we got some new people showing up, and we got some super chats. Daryl's here, D Forte, thanks, $10 from Daryl, $5 from Jonathan Hinson, congrats on 8 years. Thanks, man. $10 from Alex B, and then a good friend of the show, Bard Snagglebug, just became a member. And I see Corey's in the chat. You were blowing up my Discord DMs. Yeah, sorry about that. I had invited Corey on if he wanted to just stop by for a while tonight. I had invited Corey and Smoke Monster both if they wanted to just come hang out for a little while. But I don't know what happened to Smoke Monster, but Corey had date night tonight, so he has a very valid excuse. But it just, sorry, Corey, I didn't see your DMs, but it's like too late because I have to hook things up differently if there's going to be a guest. So, because of the audio. So, sorry, man. Anyway, and then, sorry, Math Guy's in the chat, saying congrats. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And there's Josh. That's awesome too. So, okay. But so here's the thing. So this particular issue, like there's not, I mean, obviously Zelda 2's on the cover, so like that's awesome. But other than that, if you read through the magazine, like there's not a lot of blockbuster titles in here, which is why I say like maybe it's not the ideal magazine to do like a full-blown let's read on. But before everybody turns off the live stream, the thing that's cool about this magazine came out in the summer of '89. So if it's the July-August issue, you know, I would guess that it was probably on the newsstands in like June. And the thing about the summer of '89, I mean, it's really sort of a seminal season for video games, is in the span of like a couple of months, you got the launch of the TurboGrafx 16, the Sega Genesis, the Atari Lynx, and the Nintendo Game Boy. So, and they mention all four of them in here. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Like to me, that was kind of the draw of the magazine. You can see they have the Game Boy, Genesis, and TurboGrafx on the cover. They also have an article in here about the Lynx. So, and again, we have the Mister hooked up. So all I have to do, well, I can't click it now because that's like spoilers, but I can just turn off the camera, this overhead camera, and underneath what you're seeing now is the Mister. So, so we can check it out. Yeah, now Smoke Monster's here. Oh yeah, A10 Pilot. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I was going to mention. Well, two things I have to mention. One, maybe some of you might have seen, I mentioned it on Twitter. We had an earthquake like 2 hours ago. Not a bad one, but it was like about a 5 magnitude on the Richter scale. But I definitely felt it. I was sitting right here, and it made me very like nauseous and dizzy. Like I could feel like the ground like shifting back and forth. And I looked up, and there's a lighting fixture up here, and it was swinging. So that's why A10 Pilot said the thing about, you know, he asked immediately, oh, is the Astro City okay? Which is a very valid question. The other thing is we just got a kitten not too long ago. So if you hear any like galloping, you know, I'm in the basement and we have hardwood floors, and she likes to run around the house like a crazy woman. So if you hear galloping, that's her. So, okay, let's get started. So first we just get a couple of ads that are not, neither are really that exciting, I guess. You have on the left, you have Airwolf for the NES, which I don't think I've ever played, or if I have, I haven't played it very much. First of all, I don't think it's worth playing on a live stream, but second of all, it uses the theme music from the show, and I don't really want to have copyright problems, so we're not going to check out that game, unfortunately. But I used to love Airwolf when I was a kid. Like maybe I'm wrong. I feel like Airwolf was on like Saturday afternoons when I was a kid. Like maybe it was like reruns or something, but I used to love watching that show. And then on the other hand, you have Magic Johnson's Basketball. So this brings up a good point that I failed to mention earlier. Game Players covers console games and computer games. So the reason I say that is that this is Magic Johnson's Basketball for a variety of home computers, not for like a home console. Although I guess it's also for the arcade, apparently, from what they're showing over here. I don't remember ever seeing that arcade cabinet. But over here they're talking about IBM PC, Amiga, Commodore 64, and Apple II GS. And I got super chat from Anthony Garcia. What's up, man? I always see all your posts on Instagram. I just saw you on there today. So, I mean, you can tell me there, Anthony, but I feel like in my head, there's like certain people who I feel like have been watching my show since like I didn't even have 100 subscribers. And I feel like Anthony's kind of been around since like those days. Like he might have been here like all 8 years. So it's cool to have you here, man. Next, table of contents, which I don't know, we don't read the table of contents, but I just want to say, I just really like the design of the table of contents. This like looks very late 80s as far as just like the basic shapes and the little grid pattern. Is this? I feel like this light is a little bit too bright. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I don't know. I just thought it looked kind of cool. So other than that, we're not going to read the table of contents because we don't do that sort of thing. And another super chat from Pedro Emmanuel Perez. Congrats on 8 years of CGQ. Well done. Glad to join a live stream for the first time. Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for the super chat. And second of all, thank you for joining the live stream. And somebody says, what a random Z2 screenshot. Yeah, he's talking about the Zelda 2 screenshot. Right. Oh, hey, check this out. Since we're doing this live, I can just zoom in on stuff. So yeah, that is a very weird thing to decide, like that's the screenshot that we want to use here. So there's a huge, I'll just say this now, there's a huge feature on Zelda 2. It's like a complete walkthrough of Zelda 2. I'm not going to load up Zelda 2 on the Mister. I already did a 4-part live stream where I beat Zelda 2 for the first time ever, which it's funny. I was looking at that today, and it's just kind of funny because, like I said, it's 4 separate live stream archives, just part 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like part 1, the archive has like 10,000 views. And then the other 3 all have like 2,000 views. And so it makes me feel like a bunch of people clicked on that because they just saw Classic Gaming Quarterly and Zelda 2. And maybe they thought it was going to be like an actual, like, you know, CGQ style video about Zelda 2. And then it was like, oh man, it's just a live stream archive. And they probably got bummed out. But like, I bet that video has really bad viewer retention, but that's okay. So yeah. Oh, Josh says Magic Johnson's Fast Break. Oh, that's Magic Johnson's Fast Break though, so that's not quite the same game. Has incredible title screen music. Well, that's good to know. Marcelo's here from Brazil. Yeah, it's good to see you here, man. Thanks. All right. Anyway, the editor's view. So this letter from the editor. You're used to saying letter to the editor. This is the letter from the editor. Is mostly about Summer CES, which takes place in Chicago, of course. And I mean, just talking about some of the stuff that's going to be coming out, but that's what they talk about in the magazine. So there's no point in really checking out the letter. On the other side here, we have a fairly familiar ad for the Power Glove, but this is sort of like the smaller version. Normally it's like a 3-page ad, but here it's just the 1-page ad. To my recollection, I don't think I've ever actually played with a Power Glove. But I don't think they even probably make a Power Glove that's big enough for my hands. Not that I have like basketball player hands, but I think they're big enough that they're not going to fit in the largest size Power Glove anyway. And over here is just the masthead, so nothing too interesting. For me, there's one name that sticks out, but he's one of the review writers, so I'll wait to talk about that later. I'm sure if Corey's here, he knows half of these people, but I don't. And on the other side, we have Super Dodgeball, which I love this game. I actually, if anybody caught the most recent episode of Retro Game Squad, I was a guest on that. And I brought this up briefly to talk about the flicker. But I love this game, so I thought this might be a good opportunity to click over to the Mister for the first time. And we can just play through 1 or 2 rounds of Super Dodgeball. Just if there's anybody out there who's never played this game or seen it before, I think this is really sort of, I don't really like the term hidden gem, but it's a good game on the NES that you don't really hear people talk about very much. So you click that, and then boom, it's already there. So very fancy. And then that's probably too loud. I'll let you guys tell me. Does the extra sprites help with the flicker? How do you turn on extra sprites on the Mister? Because I would like to check that out. Yeah. All right, let's try it. See what happens, right? Worst thing that can happen is that nothing happens. So, we'll check sometimes says it's loud. Is that better? Or is that too quiet now? Or, oh no, I see. Because it's probably coming out twice, huh? I don't think I have this, now it should be better. I don't think I didn't really get this hooked up correctly. So now I can't hear it, but that's okay. Yeah, alright. So we'll just do World Cup play, skill level normal. Oh, now it's too loud. No problem, no problem. I got the... Yeah. Oh, what if I go like... Alright, somebody can tell me it's... Somebody can tell me how it is, but I'm going to start playing because nobody wants to sit there and... Alright, change position. No. Alright. I haven't played this game in a while, so I have to kind of remind myself how to... Alright. So I don't... Did it really help? I don't think it did. That's still some pretty bad flicker. Come on. Got me. So basically, like, all your players have, like, hit points, which is what you see up above. And so you hit the other team's players, and, like, if you can hit them hard, so, like, if you do, you double tap so you can run, and then throw the ball, you're supposed to be able to throw it faster. And then you can also catch the ball. If you catch the ball, you don't lose any of your hit points. So, and then you can also pass it to these guys on the outside to try to, like, surprise these dudes. Yeah, there you go. See, so he just lost 5 hit points. So, and then we have to, see, then I caught it. See, he threw it, and you see that it was all, like, flashing and whatnot. But I caught it, which means I don't lose any of my hit points. And then he just lost 7, so that's perfect. Ooh, see, so that, see how it was like, you know, moving all sinusoidal. That was like a super shot, and then that guy lost 21 hit points. That was Fred, because now you see Fred's gone. And so you could only imagine, like, how much fun this game would be 2-player. Oh, I tried to turn around, but I didn't make it. But see, the ball's on my side, so he can't come get it, so then I can just grab it. So, see, I did a super shot, but it didn't hit anybody, so my dude over there just caught it. Ooh, got me. Oh, wow, somebody picked this game up for $1. That's awesome. I think I have this game? I don't remember. I've definitely had this game, but I don't know if I have it currently. You know, as I've talked about multiple times on the show, you know, I'll kind of go through and thin out my collection sometimes. But I can't imagine getting rid of this game, but at the same time, like, the flicker can be kind of annoying. Oh, I don't know if you saw in the corner, like, they turn into little angels and fly away when you completely drain their health. Alright, that's it. Oh yeah, see, there you go, little angel there. So, everybody celebrates. Alright, so I apologize about the audio situation there, but I'm glad we got it straightened out right away. So, that's enough Super Dodgeball, I think. So, we'll switch back to the magazine. But as you can see, that's a cool game. So, I think I missed some stuff. Oh, we got a super chat from Heafy. What's up, man? Been loving your show for years. By far my favorite channel on YouTube. Thank you. That's very high praise. Not even close. Wow. I love having it playing in the background while I work. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Great game. The flicker is awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that doing the extra sprites thing I'm surprised it didn't do anything to help with the flicker, but I don't know enough about how that game is programmed to know why. And then Johnny Nintendo says, isn't this all the same style universe as River City Ransom, Crash and the Street Boys, and maybe Double Dragon? Yeah, it's like Kunio-kun. I mean, I don't know anything about Crash and the Street Boys, but like River City Ransom is just another Kunio-kun game. So yeah, they all take place in the same universe in Japan. So, oh yeah, and also World Cup Soccer. That's another Kunio-kun game, which I have the PC Engine version of World Cup Soccer, which I don't remember because it's really long name in Japanese, but it's a really cool game, and I mean it's like soccer, but it's like sort of in the same spirit as Super Dodgeball as far as sort of the violence goes. So yeah. What else we got here? Still flickers on the PS4 too. Wow, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Walrus says some of that flicker is intentional, let you know which player is selected on each team. That's too bad because that flicker can be kind of distracting, but it doesn't. It's not like it ruins the game. So yeah, sorry, Heafy. I think you're maybe a little bit behind in the stream. I think the music should be fixed now. So tip sheet. So they have these tips in here, but they're all like tips that were sent in by, well, I shouldn't say that. They're not all. Some of them are tips that are sent in by readers. Like the first one's not. It says, can you give me some hints on how to get past the third level of Gradius and how to continue the game? So the editor or whoever just gives them like some tips on how to like warp ahead or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through all these tips. There's nothing in here that's all that great. But like, like over here, like Kelly McFall, I guess, from Minnesota. I'd like to offer the password for Bubble Bobble, which will automatically let you begin the second world. So that's kind of cool, I guess. And then I just noticed this, getting started in Deadly Towers. So I guess this is like, spoilers or whatever for like one of the next episodes of CGQ Plus I'm going to make. But I ordered like some drop-in parts to replace that disc, D-pad, whatever you want to call it, on the NES Max. And I told the story already, but about how it was my 12th birthday and my mom took me to the store and just let me pick out like any Nintendo game that I wanted, but it wasn't like a toy store or a video game store. So like all of the video games were like stuff I'd never heard of and that mostly seemed bad. And so that's why I took the NES Max instead, which looking back on it was just like such a dumb decision because like to me, like any game would have been better than the NES Max. I'm not saying that games were all bad, but like I didn't recognize any of them. And because of the way they were selling them, they were like all in this big cage. And so you couldn't like, you go to when you went to Toys R Us back in the day, you could flip that card over and it would have some screenshots like the back of the box type of action. But, at this place, you didn't have that because you'd have to get somebody to come open the cage so you could see the back of the box, and I didn't do that. So none of the games like stuck out to me, as far as like, oh, I should grab that, and so I got the NES Max instead. But sorry, the whole point of that is the only game that I remember for sure seeing there was Deadly Towers. But like I said, I didn't know anything about it. I still don't. And then over here is Thundercade by American Sammy. I know I've talked about Thundercade before on a read-through, which is, I think I've done a few magazines now from 1989. So some of these games in here are stuff that we've talked about before. And then over here are just some more hints, although this one was kind of funny. Not funny, but I guess just interesting. It says Super Mario Bros. 3 from Japan. I recently purchased Super Mario Bros. 3. Yes, that's right, 3. Because, of course, at this time it hadn't come out yet in this country. A friend of mine brought it back for me on a recent trip to Japan, but unfortunately there is a problem. I can't play it on my system. The cartridge is yellow and half the size of the American Nintendo cartridges, and to top it all off, the instructions are in Japanese. So, like, unfortunately, this poor kid didn't know that, Famicom cartridges were totally different and that they weren't compatible with an American NES. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. I've heard that it was designed especially for the Japanese systems and that the Japanese system will never be sold here. Even if my friend had brought back a Japanese system, it wouldn't have worked with our TVs and on our voltage. So now it sounds like he kind of knows some stuff. Do you know of a company who would convert this game to run on an American Nintendo machine? I realize the game is supposed to be here around Christmas time, but after seeing how the game looks, I don't want to wait that long. Frankie D. Wilson from Michigan. And the editor says, we wish we had good news to report, but we're afraid you probably can't use that cartridge. The Japanese Nintendo system is called the Family Computer, or Famicom. Although the Famicom and our NES are very similar, the cartridges are not interchangeable, nor can a Japanese cartridge be converted to an American cartridge. Your best alternative is to wait until the US version of Super Mario Bros. 3 becomes available, perhaps by this Christmas. So, like, I don't know when things like the Honeybee cartridge converter came out. You would think that by 1989 there must have been cartridge converters on the market, but maybe the people in this magazine didn't want to promote products like that. But at the same time, I think it's kind of crappy to just tell a person that and leave them hanging. Like, if I had been the editor, or if I had worked at the magazine, I would have just like sent the guy back a letter and just said, hey, we don't want to print this in the magazine, but you can buy cartridge converters, or whatever. I mean, if nothing else, like, for all you know, Frankie D. Wilson had like a copy of like one of the black box NES games that had the cartridge converter inside the cartridge. Maybe you could have used that or something. But yeah. What else we got going on in the chat? Is this some sort of celebration for dodging the law? No. Although I'm glad to see you here, Scary Cat. We miss you in the Discord. And then 8-Bit SNK Boy, love the channel, especially the magazine overviews. It's funny because there's some people that are into the magazine overviews and other people that are into the launch videos, and hard to keep everybody happy, but I'm glad I'm able to make content that people like. So I wish Maximum Magazine was covered, as it was possibly the greatest video game magazine ever. The UK Sega Saturn magazine was also amazing. So is Maximum Magazine, is that like a UK based gaming magazine? Because I mean, I've done foreign game magazines before, and if that's a cool magazine, I'm definitely down to try to track down a copy. I'm just gonna write it down real fast. But if you want to give me any more info in the chat there, please feel free to do so. And yeah, okay, I guess we're caught up. So, all right. What do we got here next? Sega Hints. I'm an 18-year-old Sega addict, and my brothers are also here. A few tips. This person's just giving some tips. So there you go. But then over here, we get this is like the first. In fact, let me see if I can kind of, let's get in there tight. This is the first of the like new system previews. So they do Turbografx 16 first. And I guess just one thing I wanted to remind people. Heafy says kiddos watching, so watch your mouth. Hey, I always watch my mouth on my show. But I will. I know I've said this before in the show. I just want to reiterate that, for probably at least 6 to 9 months after this, if you were in the market for a next generation console, it wasn't really an obvious choice whether you're going to get a Genesis or a Turbografx 16. So we all look at this now in hindsight and be like, well, yeah, the Turbografx 16 wasn't really that great in this country. But if you were reading this at the time it was on the newsstand, and you were somebody who had the means to get a new video game console, or maybe, you were planning ahead for Christmas, you were going to be paying attention to this, because at that time, the Turbografx 16 looked just as promising as the Genesis, because, NEC was a known brand in this country, but, certainly not for video games. But Sega, if you were an arcade person, then certainly you were very familiar with Sega. But, the Sega Master System didn't have much of an installed user base here in North America. So it's not like, oh, well, Sega, of course I'm going to get that. So I just wanted to point that out. And then just really quick, Sam, yes, I do have plans. I have at least a few flashbacks in my head that I want to make, but nothing until the next episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly is out. All right, so now let's zoom back in and we'll kind of check this out. I'm not going to read the entire article, but I want to kind of skim through it at least. Promising better graphics, higher fidelity sound, and more sophisticated gameplay, NEC recently became the first company to unveil a next-generation home video game system in the U.S. So, like, that's already, it's pretty exciting for you if you're somebody that, maybe has the means to buy a system like that. And they go on to just sort of talk about them taking on Nintendo, if they're going to be able to do that. You see you've got a couple of screenshots here. I'll get my hand out of the way of Keith Courage. And it's funny because, I did not have a Turbografx 16 back in the day. And so for me, like, I play Keith Courage with zero nostalgia, but people that did grow up with a Turbografx 16 really have a soft spot for it, which is completely understandable. But I mean, because I think I kind of maybe not dumped on the game. I don't remember, but I don't think I was particularly complimentary to the game in the launch video. So yeah. Oh yeah, here I'm going to zoom back out because this is a cool ad. So this article is going to get continued, but there's an ad here that we should check out. Vectrex, I don't have time to play that right now. I think I might have played that on a live stream before, but some other time I'm definitely happy to do that. Like especially if we're doing like another Turbografx 16 or PC Engine live stream. So I just thought this was a cool ad. This is a Taito ad. Specifically, this is a Taito home computer game ad. If you read, it says, if you want to make your PC explode with action, wow, you've got to give it Dynamite Games. So, but just, there's a few, pretty noteworthy games in here. I mean, Arkanoid is a sort of a beloved game from my own childhood, as is Bubble Bobble. But, then you've also got Renegade, which is like, I think Renegade is sort of the template for the entire beat 'em up genre. And then Sky Shark is no slouch. Alcon, I'll be honest and say I've never heard of Alcon, so I have nothing to say about that. Wow, $20 super chat from Jason Tetro. Thanks a lot, man. That's why I love your channel. Your video game background is very similar to mine. I feel real nostalgia watching your content. Well, that's what I'm going for, man. So thank you very much for the super chat. And I'm glad that you get your nostalgic fix here. 8-bit SNK Boy. Maximum was a UK multi-format magazine covering PlayStation Saturday. Okay, well, awesome. I got it written down. I'll check eBay and see if I can find an issue or two. So yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, Vectrex. I appreciate it. And if you just remind me another time when I'm not doing a read-through, and I'll be happy to play 1943 Kai. I agree, it's a good game on the PC Engine. So now we get back to the Turbografx 16 feature. Zoom back in there. And then we talk about priced at $199, which wasn't the final price was $199. The Genesis launched at $189. Turbografx 16 is scheduled to be available this fall, just in time for the holiday shopping season. It'll come with a control pad and one game cartridge, Keith Courage, and Alpha Zones. According to NEC, about 20 titles will be available by Christmas, which I don't think that ended up being the case. I could be wrong. And then I don't know what they got down here under optional accessories. NEC says it will introduce several optional accessories for the Turbografx 16, including controller adapter, blah, blah, blah. I was hoping down here, and a special compact disc player. That's kind of what I was looking for. Control adapter is called the Turbo Tap. We all know what the Turbo Tap is. We don't need to read about that. Here's another Keith Courage screenshot. Victory run. And I guess that's not a good screenshot. It's basically, that's not just the camera. It's that screenshot is extremely dark. So what else they say here? Still talking about the Turbo Tap, which was priced at $19.99 in case you were curious. The Turbo Stick is a replacement for the standard controller pad and offers variable speed turbo fire. Did it have variable speed turbo fire? Like, it didn't have like adjustment knobs, so you had like granular control, I don't think, like the NES Advantage did. Similar in concept to NES Advantage, and will sell for $44.99, which is $5 cheaper than what the NES Advantage sold for back then. Audio and video enhanced. Yeah, there you go. The Turbo Booster. Device adds composite video and stereo audio outputs. Kind of lame you had to pay for that separately when even the NES gave you composite video and not stereo out, but you at least got RCA jack out. But I don't know. It is what it is. Turbo Booster was priced at $34.99. That kind of stuff's interesting for me to see, just because I don't think I really ever knew, what the prices of some of those things were. Because then you can kind of think like, okay, well, if I had picked up a Turbografx on launch day, like what would I have wanted to get, right? So you figure the games are probably $49.99, so that's going to be $250, and then you say, well, maybe I'm going to want to play two-player game. Well, I need another controller. That's probably $20. Plus the Turbo Tap, which what did we say? That's another $20. And then, well, I have a TV that has composite inputs. Well, that's another $35. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? You got nickeled and dimed to death back then. I remember the launch of the PS2 and having to buy the memory card and the game because it didn't come with one. Did the PS2? I feel like when I bought my PS2, I'm not sure it even came with a demo disc, although I wouldn't swear to that. But anyway, I zoomed back in just because I wanted to highlight this paragraph. The most exciting accessory for the Turbografx 16 is the special compact disc player, the Turbografx Cd. In addition to providing digital quality sound effects and stereo music sound effects for video games, soundtracks for video games. It also functions as a high-capacity storage device that allows the Turbografx 16 to run games of unprecedented size and scope. A single CD can hold 550 megabytes of information. That's more information than can be stored on 4,400 conventional game cartridges or 1,500 IBM-compatible floppy disks. So, this is kind of interesting. Until now, the vast amount of storage is available only to personal computers with expensive CD drives. The only game currently released in the U.S. on a CD is Activision's The Manhole for the Macintosh. I've never heard of that game, The Manhole. But I didn't know that. If you'd asked me like, hey, what was the very first CD-ROM, computer game, I would not have known that the answer was The Manhole. It'll retail this fall for, like it says, only $3.99. Oh, only $3.99. Go type that into inflation calculator. That's got to be about $800. So I don't know about only. And before I turn the page again, I just thought, just once again highlighting that this magazine also talked about computer stuff. For users of PageMaker 3.0 for the PC and compatibles, here's an ad for like a book with a disc for PageMaker 3.0, which I don't even really know what that is. So, okay. So the Turbografx thing is going to keep going, but now here's an ad for game players, which is cool because here's some pictures of what I was talking about with the strategy guides. First of all, we got a $5 super chat contribution from Vanessa. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am not the best. We'll say I'm pretty okay. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, you're gonna have to buy a game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It all adds up. It's the console was $200, but you were gonna end up walking out of there probably $350 lighter. Anyway, I just wanted to point out real quick. So we're gonna zoom in again. This is what I was talking about with the strategy guides. So that would actually be kind of cool, especially to get my hands on that PC strategy guide would be pretty interesting. Oh, did I miss a few super chats? I'm sorry. It's flying by today. Oh yeah, you're right. I did. Thanks, Wookie. We got $8.88 from Rab604. Happy 8th year. How would you compare the current video game journalism to the classic journalism in the past? I don't know. I think it's kind of an unfair comparison to a certain extent. Back in this day, magazines really kind of ruled the roost. And, now it's just all about, now there's blogs and there's YouTube channels. Here in North America, magazines are not such a big deal anymore. And so if you're somebody who's like, maybe you're a writer that's old enough that you used to work for video game magazines, now you're going to have a harder time because you have to hope that maybe you can find a job at a website like US Gamer or Eurogamer or something like that. But that being said, I don't play modern games, so I don't pay that much attention to modern games, so I don't read modern games journalism as much, so I'm really not in a position to comment on it too much, other than to say that the landscape is just very different. Jason Tetro became a member of the channel. Thanks, Jason. And then Anthony Garcia contributed $5 and says, playing Turok 2. I've actually never played one of the Turok games before. Watching your stream from my favorite brewery here in downtown Los Angeles. Cheers, and thanks for the shout out earlier. LASF game soon. I'm definitely down. Anytime you want to go to a Dodgers Giants game. I've been to quite a few Giants games. I've never actually been to a Giants Dodgers game, so that would be pretty awesome. Okay, now I think we're caught up. Awesome. But sorry, Wookie, I noticed earlier you asked about Topo Chico, so I'll just say real quick. I tried an experiment. I've been drinking a lot of Topo Chico lately. I kind of gave up. I do this a lot. Like I just sort of decided I'm not going to drink for a while, and so I haven't been drinking like beer or anything for quite some time. And so lately I've been drinking a lot of bubbly water, and so I've been buying this Topo Chico stuff. But they sell like a flavored one, like LaCroix or whoever does. But I've discovered that it's actually better and cheaper to buy just the plain mineral water, and then I just put like a lime wedge in it, and it's really, really good. And it's very refreshing because it's summertime. Anyway, LaCroix has flavor? Yeah, not much. All right, so next page, we wrap up the Turbografx 16 coverage here. And we've got some screenshots of... I always feel funny, like I never really know how to pronounce this. Like Vigilante, like, I don't know, whatever. Pretty fun game, though. That was a launch game, so I covered that in the launch episode. They go on to keep talking about the Turbo CD. Also doubles as a compact disc player for audio CDs, which was kind of cool. I don't think you could put batteries into it, but I think you could plug it in. For anybody that doesn't know, like you'd have your Turbografx 16, and then when you bought the Turbo CD, it came with this big dock to put everything together. But you could pop the CD player out of the dock and just plug it directly into the AC adapter. So like if you had a home stereo or something, you could take it over and plug it into your stereo and plug it into the wall, and then you'd have a CD player. So it becomes somewhat of a better deal, $400 if you were also going to use it as a CD player, I guess. So yeah. Anthony says you could also buy a carbonated water maker. That's true, although this is mineral water, so it has a little bit more flavor. Although you can also make your own mineral water. And Smoke Monster's probably not here anymore, but he knows all about. He's been experimenting with his own recipes of club soda. So anyway, that's kind of cool. I don't have it within arm's reach or something. They go on to talk about Cdg Disk. It's also compatible with audio CDs that include low-resolution graphics. I talked about this in the Turbografx 16 in like 1990 or I don't know what. I talked about it in one of my episodes. For example, the Talking Heads album Naked, released last year, contains graphic screens that show the lyrics, the basic chords, and musical instruments used for each song. Let me see. This cord's long enough. Let me grab this real quick. Yeah. So I ordered this a little while ago off of Discogs. Why would Smoke Monster not? I don't like to assume that people are still hanging out. In fact, let me. Sorry, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this or anything, but I can't use this. Well, that's not true. I ordered this off of Discogs. This is Information Society. They have that famous song, "What's on Your Mind," that I think has some Spock samples in it or whatever. But the reason that I bought it is, where is it on? Yeah, you can see right there, because it's still sealed. You see that it says CDG. So this is a CDG disc. In fact, did I show that in the video? I don't think I did. There was a demo disc that came with the Sega CD, I believe, that has that song, the What's on Your Mind, or What's on Your Mind song, so that you can have the whole CDG experience. But this way you get the whole album. And like, I didn't know it was sealed it didn't say it was sealed when I bought it. It just showed up and it was sealed. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But then I kind of don't, makes me kind of like not want to open it or whatever, but I'm sure I'll open it. It's not like it's worth anything. Oh yeah, they sample Spock saying pure energy. So yeah, there you go. Oh, hey, Retro Mags Brian. Hey, you guys don't have this issue on your website. Although, as I like to do, especially since he's here, I will just once again direct people to the Retro Mags website. People often say they get nostalgic with these magazines and, oh, I wish I still had my old issues. And you don't really need your old issues, because you can go to Retro Mags and they have a lot of these issues there. It's all totally free, although you can choose to make a contribution to help pay for their server fees. You can download a lot of these issues. They don't have this particular issue yet, but they do have other issues of Game Players. And when you download magazines from Retro Mags, they are in, what is it, like CDZ format or whatever, which is really just a bunch of zipped up JPEGs. But that's the format that like comic book readers use. So like on my iPad, I have an app called Panels. Although Josh is here, he'll probably tell us that there's a better app I should be using. But I like Panels. But so you can download. I download magazines from Retro Mags directly. CBZ, thank you. I download magazines from Retro Mags directly onto my iPad, and then I can load them into Panels, and you can read the magazine on your tablet. And I'm sure you can do the exact same thing if you have an Android tablet, or maybe even your phone. I don't know, but Retro Mags, they're doing God's work over there. So I will never miss an opportunity to talk them up. So anyway. And then here, this gets kind of interesting. So I know I keep zooming in and out. I'm sorry. I don't want to make people seasick or anything. They get into technical details. The Turbografx 16 is actually a hybrid 8 and 16-bit microcomputer, which is just funny because it's like even before the system was out, that you already had like, well, is it an 8-bit system or a 16-bit system? Whatever. To me, it's like it's part of the 16-bit era. So I don't actually care if the processor is actually 16 bits or not. It's like the same thing with the Nintendo 64. Like, I don't care if it's 64-bit. In my mind, it's part of the 32-bit era. Although by then, like, the whole concept of bits didn't really even matter as much anymore. And then it goes on to talk about like the screen resolution, 256 by 216. Only slightly more detailed than Nintendo's 256 by 192, but the Turbografx 16 can display many more colors, 512 versus Nintendo's 52, which, how many colors you can display on screen at once has a much bigger impact on graphical detail, I think, than resolution does. So yeah. Sprites can also be 30 times larger. Who really cares? 6-channel sound chip, whatever. So, I don't know. That was mainly what I wanted to talk about there. And then over here, the new software adventures of Batman, which I don't know. Is this a? This is another computer game ad. The Commodore 64, 128, Amiga, and Atari ST. So I don't know anything about that game at all. So 32, 64 bits were the same era. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what, because to me, like, I'm not into the whole, not that I'm criticizing it, but I'm saying I'm not into the whole third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation, just because, like, when I was kind of coming up as far as like becoming, a collector or retro gamer or whatever, we didn't use that terminology. That really came about with Wikipedia, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, in my mind, I don't even know, like, what, if you say the fourth generation of consoles, that means nothing to me. So to me, it's still like 8-bit, 16-bit, even though those are not very good descriptors. Yeah. All right. Anyway, well, because that's why Christian Waters asked, was the Atari 2-bit? No, the Atari is also, I think, 8-bit. Like, is there even such a thing as a 4-bit CPU? I'm not sure. And that's why I'm saying it's not a good saying 8-bit is not a good descriptor because I think everything like NES, Master System, and before, I think they're all 8-bit. So it's not a good way to describe game console generations. And then over here, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about computer games. I would rather we play some Super Sprint, which we're going to. Although I'm not good at Super Sprint, so just warning. But I just thought this was interesting just to give you an idea of like what was going on as far as computer games went. It says here, Tetris was the big winner at the computer industry's version of Hollywood's Academy Awards. At a banquet held recently in San Diego, members of the Software Publishers Association, which is a trade group consisting mostly of software companies, announced their favorite programs of 1988, in several categories. And I'm not going to read any more than that, except to say that there's the home computer version of Tetris, which it says won 4 awards, sweeping almost every category in which it was nominated. But then you also have Battle Chess, which for some reason Battle Chess was a very popular computer program, which I don't really understand, just because I never felt like chess was that popular. I mean, at least not among kids, maybe like older computer users, which probably back at this time, if you had an IBM PC in your house, it was probably because your dad or your mom had one. So maybe Battle Chess was popular with older people. I don't really know. And then King's Quest IV, The Perils of Rosella. If I remember correctly, I've talked about on, hey Rick Machio, what's up, man? I've talked about on Flashback, my best friend in like junior high school and high school, Stuart, his dad worked for Sierra as a game programmer. And I believe that it was King's Quest. It was either King's Quest 3 or 4, where his dad is actually, his name is in the manual because he was one of like the 2 programmers. And then down here is F-19 Stealth Fighter, which was another pretty big release. But over here is Super Sprint, which I remember like, Super Sprint, and to be honest, I mean, I didn't look it up. I don't think these are even made by the same company, but I just always associate like Super Sprint and, Ivan Iron Man Stewart Super Off-Road, just because at least in my memory, the arcade cabinets were sort of similar in the way they worked. And they were just always fun games to throw a couple quarters in and play. Obviously, it's not quite as fun on the NES, but it's still pretty fun. So now we're going to click over. I'm going to have to like exit out of it. It's probably still got Super Dodgeball loaded, but we'll exit out of it and play a little bit of Super Sprint, which we have to find because the way the ROMs are organized here, these that say US, those are only like officially licensed releases. And so we have to go down to unlicensed, which it's kind of funny. I mean, this is I like the way this is all organized, so I'm not complaining. But to me, it's just like, it almost feels wrong to take like the Tengen games and throw them in with like Color Dreams and Wisdom Tree games, just because like, I get it, Tengen's unlicensed, but it's like, you saw those at the store, like I don't remember ever seeing like a Color Dreams game. You had to buy that at some kind of like weird store or something. So I don't know, but technically, yes, they are unlicensed, and yes, they belong in the unlicensed folder. So there we go. And this has pretty catchy music, actually. So, oh, sorry, I got to turn there we go. I'm going to let that percolate for a second, just so I can check out the chat. Caligula says, my favorite YouTube channel is live. You seriously brought so much joy to my life with your channel. Well, thanks. That's very high praise that I'm not sure I deserve. Congrats on 8 years. How about that new PS1 video? I would say like it's almost done, but you have to understand with a video like that takes a long time to make, almost done is kind of a relative thing. So, I mean, it's still going to be a little while, but we're getting there. So yeah. And, oh yeah, sorry. Rab said fire up Super Sprint on the Mister, but sorry, I just saw that. Did I watch hockey playoffs or NBA playoffs? I didn't watch the hockey playoffs just because I really wanted the Canadiens to win, and I knew they weren't going to, and so I just didn't have the heart to watch it. I haven't been watching the NBA playoffs, but I would like to. I meant to watch Game 1 last night, and I just honestly forgot. So, and Wrestling with Gaming is here. So what's up, man? Thanks for the $10. Congrats on your 8-year anniversary. I think the first video of yours, been a fan ever since the SNES console launch video, and thanks for consoling me after my Nick Arcade video initially bombed. Yeah, man, I mean, I've told him this before, but Wrestling with Gaming just makes really, really good content. And so, like, when he first uploaded that video, I didn't get the views that he wanted it to, but I just basically told him, like, that's evergreen. That's evergreen content, and as your channel grows, people are going to go back and watch it. So I guess that's happened. But if you don't subscribe to Wrestling with Gaming, if you like my show, if you like Norm's show, maybe Corey's show, if you're not watching Wrestling with Gaming, you really should. He does really awesome, like, deep dives into various topics. He just uploaded the making of Super Mario Kart, which was definitely very interesting. He also, I don't completely understand it, he does some kind of like 3D rendering. Like, he made like a 3D Genesis and a 3D EA cartridge, because he did a video about, I think it was called like How EA Broke Sega or something, just about like the whole situation with EA releasing Genesis games. And whatever he's doing is not something I have the skills to do, so I find it very impressive. So, all right. Anyway, let's play. Oh yeah. Somebody, Bobby Lawn says best Neo Geo video on YouTube. Yeah, so that's the other thing. People kept saying I should make a launch of the Neo Geo video, and I'm probably not going to do it anymore, because if people ask for that, I'm just going to point them to his Neo Geo video. So, because once again, it's very good. Sorry, I picked a bad time to take a drink. So I'm the yellow car. So when you first start out, like, you can see that, like, my car is just way more powerful than the other cars. But you upgrade. It's kind of like RC Pro-Am does the same thing. You upgrade your car. Although with RC Pro-Am, you pick up the specific parts, like stickier tires or whatever. With this game, you pick up, like, you see that wrench that just showed up. If I can get over there, he's going to beat me to it. Oh no, I got it. So that I can use that to upgrade something on my car, basically right now. Oh yeah, he did an X-Band video as well. Yeah, I mean gaming historian when I say Norm, sorry. I feel like Norm's famous enough that I don't have to actually call him, you know. Like, you can't say, like, oh, Chris, and anybody's going to know you're talking about me, but, you know, there's only one Norm. See, I drifted and got the wrench. So it's hard. I run into the walls a lot, which is actually bad, because I don't think it shows it anywhere, but you actually do take damage, and if you crash too many times, you'll like blow up, and your car will regenerate, but you definitely lose time because you crashed. So I mean, you do want to take care and try not to drive too. I missed the wrench. You don't want to drive like too crappily. All right, there we go. Oh, hey, Bobby Lon, what's up, man? Get the Honda Power Unit. Yeah, no kidding. Grendel, well, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so now we have like 2 wrenches, and so we can pick something that we want to upgrade. So, and you have to do this because the other cars are also upgrading. So, so yeah, we went with super traction. But you can see like that white car has, oh, we hit the tornado. That's something I don't like about this game, is the tornadoes. That just seems like silly, but I guess it's like instead of like oil slick, although this game also has oil slick. I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was saying, like, he's like faster off the line, like maybe he has better acceleration, but obviously I have higher top speed. Other games, I forgot, did Super Off-Road come out on the NES? I know it came out on the Genesis. But if you like this type of game, another game worth checking out would be Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat. In fact, that game might be better, and of course you can run over your own pit crew. So there's that. So, oh hey, look at that! I think I got Wrestling with Gaming, a couple new subscribers. Nice. Yeah, so I don't know how much longer you want to keep. Okay, we just did higher top speed. That's the only thing is if you start like pounding the A button to keep things moving along, you will upgrade something that maybe you didn't want to upgrade, which is what we kind of just did, but it's fine. I mean, I needed to upgrade to higher top speed at some point. I don't know why I kind of have a harder time with this level. Oh yeah, see, there you go. I just crashed and blew up. But like right there, you can take a shortcut through like that piece of barrier that's broken. We're not doing well, but we're not out of it yet. Come on, man. Oh, I think that just hosed us. Yeah. Oh well. I was trying to cut through there, but it didn't really work. So now I got game over. But I guess that's enough for that now, anyway. But it's just a fun game. So in fact, if you guys want, just as a compare and contrast, we could check out Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat real quick. I don't mind. Adding tornadoes sounds like something the FIA be willing to try. That's funny. Yeah. Oh wow, I got $2 from $1.99 from Mujanga. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. No comment, just a thumbs up. But that's cool, man. Thanks. I don't even know how to do that. Hey, Morpheus is around. I haven't seen you in a while. Sad to hear you won't be making a Neo Geo episode. I'm not saying I won't ever make a Neo Geo episode, but I'm saying it's just not a priority of mine. Especially like if you want some Neo Geo coverage, just go check out Wrestling with Gaming's video. So, yeah, let's check out Danny Sullivan just really fast. So now we have to get out of the unlicensed games and go back to the licensed games. Yeah. Well, this is a Rare game, by the way. Rare, the company Rare, not it's rare as in it's hard to buy. Choose your driver. That guy's got lamb chops. Let's go for that. Dude, it's hot down here, man. So it was 102 today. It's still 98 outside at 7:40 p.m. Although I feel like my computer, whatever temperature it says, it seems like it's not true. Oh, so here you have $100,000 to spend upgrading your car, or if you don't want to, I guess you can just say Danny's choice, and then basically the computer does it for you. So yeah, Josh says, to be fair, this game did take me a long time to track down in the wild, but this was a game, I don't know if you guys remember, like I forgot what Pat the NES Punk's what his podcast is called. How am I on fire already? Anyway, he did some experiment or whatever where, I think he was trying to prove that like YouTubers and podcasters affect the price of games, and so we gotta pull into the pits here, I think. Fix the car. He was trying to prove that like they affect the value of games, and I think so he started like talking up Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat just to try to like increase demand for it, just to prove that, prove his point or whatever. And so I think that's why it's kind of like how Battletoads became like a meme game where everybody was like calling GameStop and asking if they have Battletoads, and I think it kind of it kind of helps turn the game into like a little bit more of a collector's item. See, now I crashed, and now, like, see, now I got like smoke or something coming out of the back of the car. So it's funny, in some ways this game is like not as good as Super Sprint. In some ways, like, I think it's cool that your car takes damage and you have to like pull into your pit box, but at the same time the graphics look a little bit goofy. So overall it's a pretty cool game though. But I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. We came in, we're in third, right? Because we were red. That's not bad. Anyway, that's enough of Danny Sullivan's indie heat. Hey, Rory's here. What's up, man? Bad news, Rory. Well, not really that bad, but your Atari Age poster fell off the door because the hooks that I bought don't hold as much weight as they claim to. So I need to get new ones. So it didn't get damaged or anything, but it's just leaning up against the wall on the floor there, and the door is just blank. But it's not in frame, so you can't see it. But yeah, and sorry, I got a couple more super chats here to go through. Jamie Ochoa, $5 from Jamie Ochoa. Congratulations on 8 years of CGQ. I discovered your channel around the beginning of the pandemic. Oh, all right, cool. New reviewer. Brought me many hours of entertainment. Thank you. Well, thank you. Welcome, and I'm glad you are enjoying things. Morpheus asked, if you had the chance, would you change from growing up as a member of Generation X for Generation Z or Millennial? Definitely not. I actually, it's funny you asked that, just as I was thinking about that the other day, and like obviously other people, people younger than me will say something different, but for me, I feel like growing up in the 80s, like I feel like the 80s was like the last cool decade to grow up in. Like, I'm very glad I didn't grow up in the 90s. The 90s were cool, but not nearly as cool as the 80s. Come on. And then anything newer than that, I don't know. I just, not like I feel like we live in bad times or anything, but I just feel like not as interesting. Like, growing up in the 80s was like interesting, but if you had grown up in the 70s, that would have also been interesting for different reasons. And you could say that going back through time. But I think the 80s in some ways was the last one. We also got $15 from Jason Tetro. Thanks again. That's your second one. You don't have to keep doing that. It's weird. I was an ace at RC Pro-Am, but this game eluded me. Well, I mean, let's be honest. RC Pro-Am is a much better game. So, yeah. Derek Wilson, but aren't they all equally interesting? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'd grown up in the 70s, I'd feel the same way. Like, oh, the 70s was a cool time to grow up. Or the 60s or whatever. I mean, maybe not the 30s. I'm glad I didn't grow up during the Depression or whatever. But anyway. Okay, so let's turn this back on and get back to it. So that was Super Sprint. I don't want to spend too much time on this just because we have seen this ad before from the Ultimate Game Club. It was like, I think you had to pay a membership fee to join this club, and then you bought these items that it was supposedly at a discount. I'm not sure I really believe that it was a discount, but although I'll always point out this just because I remember seeing, you could buy that at Toys R Us. Eclectics Pro Play Home Arcade. I think all you were buying, it was like the cabinet and it had the controls built in, but you had to slide your own TV. You had to buy the appropriate size TV, probably like a 19-inch TV or something, and slide it in there. And then, of course, you had to put your Nintendo in. So, and just because you don't see them very often in the U.S., there is the HAP Competition Pro joystick, which, if you grew up in Europe, is considered by many. I'd be curious, since Alex is still in the chat, if he agrees with that. That seemed like it was sort of the de facto joystick for Commodore and Amiga. Like whether you had a Commodore 64 or an Amiga, it was sort of the de facto joystick, seemingly, that people there used. And so this is kind of reminiscent. If anybody out there caught the Competition Pro was number 2. What was number 1 then? I did that Game Pro Celebrity Gamers read through a few years ago, or maybe 2 years ago. Zip Stick or the TAC-2. Oh, the TAC-2 is a good stick. I agree with that. This is just sort of along the same lines, face to face with Will Wheaton. And only thing I say about that, I don't know. It's like it turned into this like online, like, well, I guess all memes are online, right? It turned into this meme, the whole "shut up Wesley" thing or whatever. But like, I don't know. I always thought like, before I ever started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, I remember seeing the movie Stand By Me. Not when it came out, I don't think, but right when it came out on home video. And that movie kind of like struck a chord with me a little bit, just because like, yes, it took place in the 50s, but those kids were the exact same age as me. And so, I think that movie was maybe more something that was meant to be watched by like baby boomers, because that was like their childhood growing up at that time, in that time. But it's just a good coming of age story. But I'm just saying that because of that, the actors in that movie, Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and crap, I forgot the name of the actor who played Vern. Was it Jerry something, I think? I forgot, I'm sorry. Like he's watching. But I really liked that movie. And so when I started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation and Will Wheaton was on it, for me, I was like, oh, cool. It's one of the kids from Stand By Me. And so like, I know some people don't like his character on the show, but yeah, Jerry O'Connell, thank you very much. But for me, like, I always thought it was cool. So that was just my only point. We're not going to read the article, but, and then over here, of course, there's no match for WWF WrestleMania. And as everybody in the chat is already talking about there's Hulk Hogan, which again, if you grew up in the 80s, first of all, I think, I don't watch wrestling at all anymore, because I just find it totally uninteresting now. But like WWF wrestling in the 80s was like amazing. And I think that's why I can't watch this stuff now, is because I feel like I was watching it during like the golden era. And I think that what it is now is, at least for me personally, kind of stupid. No offense to those of you who enjoy watching it still. And certainly Hulk Hogan was the biggest star on WWF. So there you go. And it's kind of cool. They also have, they're showing down here the little LCD handheld game, which I'm sure is not a good game, but it's just cool to see that kind of stuff. So here we get into Nintendo news, and here they're talking about the Game Boy, which I've already talked about my story about the Game Boy on Flashback, so I'm not gonna rehash that whole thing. But just for anybody that's maybe a little bit younger watching this, that just doesn't really understand or whatever, the Game Boy was a huge deal. I think it took a little while for it to catch on, but the idea of having, considering how much of a big deal the NES was, to all of a sudden have this portable Nintendo gaming device that, unlike the Game & Watch games, which were also somewhat popular, to all of a sudden have like this little Nintendo console that you could carry around in your pocket or your backpack, and it had, interchangeable cartridges, was like nothing short of amazing. So like Organized Chaos says, when the Game Boy came out, I got it for Christmas. And same here, I had it the first Christmas, and I was like the only kid at school that I knew that had a Game Boy. So that's why I'm just saying, as far as like, the summer of '89 being, sort of like, this amazing summer for new hardware, because in July, the Game Boy hit store shelves. And, it's funny. It said, do you ever miss your Nintendo machine when you're away from home? Have you ever wished there was something to do during long drives other than fidget in the back seat and count out-of-state license plates? We actually used to do that. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never thought about that. But like kids these days, and kids for the past 20 years probably, they don't know what it's like maybe having to sit in the back seat of your parents' car, for like a 4-hour drive to your aunt's house without really having anything to do. You guys had to play like, I Spy, or you had to see how many out-of-state license plates you could find and stuff like that. And like, now you buy like a minivan or something, and it's got like freaking, TVs with DVD players built into the backs of the seats, which is great. I mean, I guess that's something, for kids who grew up today, they don't have to be bored in the back seat of a car for 4 hours. And so good for them. But, it's just interesting to think about. So, Did anyone else play the game where you chose a color and the first person to get 10 cars of that color won? I never played that game. I played the game where if you saw a Volkswagen Beetle, you punched somebody. But that's probably not about the same thing. Wow, another $10 from Jason Tetro. Really, you don't have to keep doing that. I appreciate it, though. The Game Boy was the first console I bought with my own money. I was 15 in the fall of '89. That's pretty awesome. The first console I bought with my own money was the Sony PlayStation, and I was 20. So, anyway, so it says here, Nintendo has a solution, a handheld battery-powered video game system that's as portable as a Sony Walkman, which back then Sony Walkmans were still pretty big, so they were about the same size. It's called the Game Boy, and it could become one of the hottest toys during the fall and holiday seasons. And then the lone screenshot down there is Super Mario Land, which, again, I already talked about it on Flashback, but I had that game. I got the Game Boy for Christmas from my dad, and I got Super Mario Land that same Christmas from my mom. So I know some people are not super excited about the first Super Mario Land, but it's like for me, a very beloved game, and I really like it. I've pointed this out before, but I'll always take the opportunity to point this out. It's a pretty easy game, and it's very short because you're supposed to keep playing it. Like, you finish it, and then it's like you go through another loop, and it's going to be harder the second time. And when you beat it the second time, you go through for a third loop, and it's going to be even harder. But, like, I didn't know that when I was a kid. I was like, wow, this game's easy enough that even I can beat it, because I was terrible at video games when I was a kid. But that's why that's the case. Like Kirby's Adventure, or whatever the Kirby game is called on the Game Boy, it's the same thing. Very short game. You're supposed to keep playing more loops. And Wookie is correct that it has great music. So, and then sorry, somebody was talking about it. And they're down here, I guess. That's Iron? Yeah, it's Iron Sword. It says right here. Iron Sword: Wizards and Warriors 2 is an eagerly awaited sequel coming soon from Acclaim. So yeah, it's too bad there's not more information about the Game Boy in here, especially since, unlike the Turbografx 16, this was it was very likely you might be reading this magazine as the current issue, and you could just go to Toys R Us and buy a Game Boy. So I'm not sure why they didn't have more information about it, but that's okay. They mention here that it came with earbuds, which I might still have a pair. I remember when I got the earbuds, that was the first time I ever saw earbuds, because we always used the headphones that go over your head, even the little ones. And the first time I think I ever saw earbuds was when I got them with my Game Boy. But although they do keep going on and talking about it, and they're kind of comparing it to the Lynx a little bit, but then there's also going to be a little feature about the Lynx later on. They mentioned it's going to come with Tetris. It comes with the batteries, which was nice. It came with the batteries. So, when you opened it on Christmas morning, you had everything you needed to start playing, which was cool. Hey, Friday Night Arcade is here. What's up, man? Haven't talked to you in quite some time. I understand why, because you're very busy. I'm just saying I'm glad you're here. I don't know. Actually, I guess they talk about the Game Boy. Actually, it's weird because they have all these screenshots, inserted in here for stuff they're talking about later, so it makes the Game Boy feature feel smaller than it is. They mention here that the cartridges are going to be about $20, which was the case at the beginning. I think later the Game Boy cartridges started creeping up to 25 or 30. But I remember that at the beginning they were $20, which was cool because, like, $50 when I was a kid, that's a lot of money. Like, for you to save up $50 is kind of a big deal. But $20 is like, I could go mow a couple of lawns or something around the neighborhood and have enough money to ride my bike to Toys R Us and buy a Game Boy game. So I like that. Oh my God, Retro Game Squad is here too. All the stars are here. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. What did I think of the Wario games? I haven't really played the Wario games that much because my Game Boy broke after a couple of years, inexplicably. Because I take good care of my stuff, but like the screen just quit working. And it's not like I dropped it or anything. I never knew what happened. So, so yeah, I just like that, I was out of the Game Boy game. Pun semi-intended. They mentioned some of their launch titles here. Besides Tetris, there's Super Mario Land, Alleyway, which was like a breakout style game, baseball, and tennis. Then they get in talking about new NES games. Nintendo's Game Boy isn't the only big news this summer. Dozens of new games, including some long-awaited sequels, are due to hit stores in the months to come. We got the chance to play some of these games this June at the Summer Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. How much money would you give to be able to like hop on a time machine and go back to like 1989 or something and go to like CES? I can't even imagine how cool that would be. At this giant industry event, Nintendo had by far the biggest booth, more than 50,000 square feet, as much as about 40 average-sized houses. Well, that's a lot. It cost Nintendo $1.5 million to build this massive exhibit. So I wouldn't be surprised if you go on like YouTube and type in like, 1989 Summer CES. You may very well be able to see some footage of that. One of the hottest hits is sure to be Acclaim's Double Dragon 2, The Revenge, the eagerly awaited follow-up to Double Dragon. We've played that, I believe, on a live stream before, or maybe it was just in a magazine read-through. I don't remember which, but the first Double Dragon, like I remember it being popular when I was a kid, but like it's okay. But Double Dragon 2 is like unimpeachably good. So if you're somebody that's maybe only played the first Double Dragon and you're like, it didn't really age that well or whatever, you should play Double Dragon 2 because that game is awesome. What else they're saying here? Like the popular arcade version, the Nintendo game will permit 2 players to participate simultaneously, which, of course, the first Double Dragon famously does not allow you to do. To win the game, you must defeat the ultimate enemy, the evil Shadow Boss. And this kind of interesting, I guess, to make 2-player games like Double Dragon 2 easier to play, Acclaim is introducing a 2-player wireless remote controller. That's kind of a clumsy transition. It works with single-player games too, of course, and also has rapid-fire turbo buttons for both the A and B, slow motion. Did anybody ever use the slow motion feature? Like, it's like so limited as far as like what games it would actually even work on. Like, turbo buttons make a lot of sense. The slow motion thing just seems like super gimmicky. The Acclaim double-player system should be available by August for $44.95. I mean, that's a pretty good deal because it's 2 controllers and wireless for $45. Not bad. Another Acclaim sequel that's on its way is Iron Sword Wizards and Warriors 2, due in November. It will feature more than 100 different characters and 5 different lands to explore. I haven't really played much of the sequel. I played a lot of the original Wizards and Warriors. I think my best friend Jonathan had it when I was a kid. But I think my experience with the second one is probably limited to recording like gameplay footage, for a magazine read-through or something. Friday Night Arcade says the slow-mo feature on the NES Advantage would cause seizures if you used it for Super Mario Brothers. Coincidentally there, Friday Night Arcade, I was just watching you had sort of a NES Advantage video where you were kind of fixing yours up or whatever. And I was kind of watching that because I have like 2 NES Advantages. One of them is like brand new in the box, and so I don't really want to use it. Like I bought it off of eBay because it was like complete or whatever, but then it showed up and it was actually brand new. And so I'm like, I don't want to really use that. I mean, that's, it's worth more in the condition it's in rather than if I mess around with it. But then my other NES Advantage, kind of like one of the buttons, if you hit the turbo switch, the button quits working. So either the switch is bad or the IC inside is bad. So I don't really want to do that. So sorry, Morpheus posted this twice. After 8 years, you never had an open voice or video chat on YouTube. You should hold one once a week or month to converse with your subscribers. I mean, I definitely don't have time to do that like once a week or once a month. I agree that that's maybe something that maybe I should do at least once or something, especially because I don't really want to go to video game conventions anymore, because basically what you're describing is no different than if I did like a panel discussion, which, like I said, I'm not sure I want to do ever again. So I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. What else we got down here? Cybernoid which I don't even remember anything about it. Bigfoot, a racing game with car-crunching monster trucks. It's kind of funny, like the same thing I would say about like Hulk Hogan is also true about like Bigfoot. You know, like back then, like, you know, I remember monster truck rallies being like a pretty big deal, and they'd have like, you know, commercials on TV for them for like the couple months leading up to when it was going to be, you know, in your town. And like Bigfoot was, at least in my memory, like the first like star monster. I mean, maybe someone that's really into the scene would have a different feeling, but for me, it's like I can't name any monster truck before Bigfoot, right? But then after that, you know, of course, you had the whole Bigfoot versus Gravedigger thing. But you know, it's like two things. If you grew up in the '80s, like you're my age, two things that you're at least likely to have posters of on your wall were Hulk Hogan and Bigfoot. And sorry, just because a few people asked about it, I wasn't trying to like make a whole thing about it. I just don't know if I want to go to video game conventions anymore. So I don't really want to get into the reasons why, to be honest. Like, it would make me sad not to go into them just because it's fun to meet people, but for reasons I won't get into, it also makes me uncomfortable. Oh, Top Gun, the second mission. I got a CGQ Plus episode coming up talking about Konami games, so I don't really want to get into that one too much. Konami's Jack Nicklaus Greatest 18 Holes of Major Championship Golf. I've never played the NES version. Anybody watching, if you haven't checked out the PC Engine and Turbografx 16 golf game video that I recently uploaded on this channel, which I had a lot of fun making. I talked about the Turbografx 16 and PC Engine versions of that game. It's a pretty good game. That being said, I have not played the NES version. And as curious as I am not going to waste your time playing it right now. So, Kings of the Beach, which wasn't Kings of the Beach, was that a volleyball game? Yeah, it is. Beach volleyball game, yeah. Win, lose, or draw, Chess Master. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of the games they talk about in here are kind of snoozers. Infiltrator. The Last Starfighter is a space combat game based on the innovative science fiction movie of a few years ago. Did that come out? That's a movie, Last Starfighter. That's a movie I haven't watched in a while, and I would love to. What a great... If you're watching me right now and you have never seen The Last Starfighter, please feel free to stop watching this live stream right now and go watch The Last Starfighter instead, because it's much better. Capcom USA is releasing DuckTales based on Walt Disney's top-rated TV cartoon show. That is a very beloved NES game. Other new Capcom titles for Nintendo are Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, which wasn't really all that great. Codename Viper, which I can't say much about, in which players battle Central American drug lords. That kind of makes me want to check it out. And Willow, based on last year's movie. Willow, I think, is a pretty cool NES game. I remember renting that game, although I don't think that's really a game. I wouldn't call Willow a weekend rental, because I think you kind of need to hang on to the game a little bit longer than that. Tengen has 4 new titles: Super Sprint, which we just played, Vindicators, Zybots, and Police Academy, which I feel like this has come up on my show before. Maybe when I did like a live read through with Corey or something. Police Academy, it definitely never came out, and I think there might not even be like a beta floating around to that. Anyway, it even says here, Police Academy is based on the series of slapstick movies about a bunch of misfits who become cops. I love the Police Academy movies. I kind of grew up watching those in the 80s. I can't really imagine how you turn Police Academy into a game without it almost like not having anything to do with the movie. It seems like a dumb idea. So, anyway. All right. Data East is releasing Bad Dudes, which, Bad Dudes is kind of comical, but not really, in my opinion, a very good game. We got $10 from Jason Tetro. Thank you, Jason. You really don't have to keep doing that, but I appreciate it. Willow is an amazing NES game, the first one I ever drew maps for, and it was almost necessary. For sure. But I just feel like that, I feel like the game like captured the spirit of the movies. It also has really good graphics and music, but I just think it's like a cool game. And it's weird because you don't really ever hear anybody talk about the game. But I mean, do you really even hear people talk about the movie that often? I mean, Willow's such a good movie, at least in my opinion. Maybe it's like now you have Lord of the Rings, so what do you have to watch Willow for? I don't really know. But I did not know there was a Police Academy cartoon. Or I think now that you say that, I have kind of a recollection of that being a thing. But I don't think I've ever watched the cartoon. FCI is introducing WCW World Championship Wrestling, which lets you choose from 12 pro wrestlers. Yeah, I remember like back in like the late 80s, there was like all these competing wrestling series on TV. Because wasn't there another one? Like there was WWF, WCW, and then there was like WCCW or something, like World Class Championship Wrestling. And that I'm not even including Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Although I'm not, was Glow still around in the late 80s? Maybe not, or maybe it wasn't as popular. I'm not really sure. Mujanga says the slur peck should be banned. I don't know what, I've never heard that slur. So it's banned on my show, because I don't even know what it is. Taito's bringing out 3 new Nintendo titles between July and December. Sky Shark puts you in the cockpit of a P-40 fighter plane. Sky Shark's okay. I've said this before. I don't think that the NES is really the best platform for shooters outside of. I mean, there are some good ones like Gradius and Life Force are great, but I'd struggle to think of too many more than that. What else? Oh, Renegade. Target Renegade is a street fighting sequel to Renegade. I don't think I've ever played Target Renegade. I've only played the original Renegade. And then Demon Sword, I haven't played that one at all. Absolute Entertainment, known for its Atari 2600 and 7800 video games, is introducing its first Nintendo title, A Boy and His Blob. We've talked about that one before. I also remember renting A Boy and His Blob. I've never owned a copy of A Boy and His Blob that came with the manual. So perhaps the manual told you what the different flavors of jelly beans did. Or maybe it didn't. I don't know. But for sure, you know, I got the game and it just came in like the plastic little clamshell thing that may or may not have had that deal printed on it that, you know, just that was like yellow and orange that said like A Boy and His Blob on the front, and then just maybe had like some really basic instructions on the back. But like I had no idea what the different jelly beans did, and obviously I could have just gotten out a piece of paper and started writing them down. So, and yes, Mujanga, you are correct. I forgot about that. It's the slur from Willow. Sorry about that. But anyway, Boy and His Blob is a very good game. And as they point out in here, Boy and His Blob is notable as the first Nintendo game by David Crane, one of the industry's top game designers. Crane's previous games include such multi-million sellers as Pitfall and Ghostbusters. And yeah, it's a cool game. Another newcomer to Nintendo is Matchbox Toys, the miniature car maker. It says Matchbox will be releasing 5 new titles for the Nintendo in 1990. They are Tune Up Rally, a 1 or 2 player racing game, Monster Truck Rodeo, a competition involving giant pickups, Urban Convoy, in which games play Wildcat Truckers, Web World, a space adventure with hand-to-hand combat against aliens, and Ring Raiders, in which the futuristic Ring Raiders Air Force battles the Skull Squadron in a contest of world domination. I've never heard of any of those games, and I don't... Did that ever happen? I don't remember Matchbox ever making NES games, or any of those games coming out. So, yeah, I don't know. But what I do know is that over here on the other side, we have, under Arcade Action, Hard Drivin', the world's best driving game. And I've talked about this before because I think we did a Let's Read where the Genesis version of Hard Drivin' came up. But it's one of the... Oh, Mike says they're all unreleased prototypes, so there you go. That's interesting, though, just because I never knew about that. But... Anyway, it's hard because people will go and play hard driving now and say, oh, this game is not good at all. But I mean, having been a kid, when the game came out, I was totally blown away by it. The only thing about hard driving I hated was I think it cost $1 to play it, which seemed like kind of rip off. But, and I've probably talked about this before, but, from what people with kids tell me, it seems like kids these days are not as interested in driving. Like they're perfectly happy to have their parents give them rides places and whatnot, because maybe the stigma of that is not as big of a deal anymore. But when I was a kid, like driving was like a huge deal. Like when you were a little kid, you'd like dreamed about being able to like drive one day, or like, maybe your dad let you sit on his lap when you were a kid and steer. And that was a huge thrill. Then you go to the carnival or something and you'd play on the bumper cars, or you'd go to like Malibu Grand Prix and be able to drive, go-karts. And like, so when I was a kid, it was just like being able to drive a car was like this, thing that you really aspired to. And it's one of the reasons that you were sort of like in a hurry to grow up. And so for something like hard driving to come out that at least for its day felt like it almost felt like something you would play like if you went to like driving school or something, like it felt like it was like a driving simulator, with the exception of like stuff like the loop-de-loops and stuff like that, obviously. But, by this time, I'd been playing arcade games since I was like literally 6 or 7 years old. And, for a time, Pole Position 2 was my favorite arcade game. And so to go from playing something like Pole Position 2, and like Super Sprint or Ivan and Iron Man Stewart Super Off-Road to playing hard driving was like this night and day difference. And so it was this huge thrill. And so like, even though it cost an entire $1 to play, when maybe your parents only gave you $2 or $3 to play games with, if that, like I would generally, stick the $1 in there and I would do one playthrough of hard driving. What people are saying, Owa's Rim? That's hard to say. Kids don't need to go out and meet their friends. They can use their phone to see or play games together. That is very true. I mean, people don't meet up as much in person, so I think you have a very good point there. That the independence that driving provided when we were kids is not something that's needed as much anymore. And it wouldn't be an issue if they improved public transit. Well, it depends where you live in this country. Some cities have very good public transit. And in other cities, it just, I guess, maybe doesn't make sense to spend money on that. I don't really know. I don't want to get into that. But Brian says, my daughter just turned 17 and is now only reluctantly learning to drive. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they don't feel like they have a reason to, then whatever. Me saying that is not meant as a slight at that generation. I'm just saying it's just, that's the reality now. So, yeah, anyway. And then it talks about in here, down here, the manual transmission. That I never played with. And it talks about how if you play the game in manual, it's better. Like you'd be a little bit faster, which was a common thing for games to do back then. I remember Final Lap Twin on the Turbografx was the same way. You could actually go faster if you played it in manual transmission mode, which I guess makes sense. But I never played around with that. But like it's saying here, you actually had an actual H shift pattern. Like it felt like a real, I guess, like a real gearbox. But at least my recollection, I don't know if it says, yeah, like I remember it, like the steering wheel even having like force feedback in it. So, I mean, I guess you can see why it was $1 to play. I mean, it was technologically pretty advanced. And they keep talking about it over here. Wow. I don't know. I don't want to keep going on about hard driving. I think I said what I need to say, but I'm splitting my attention between the Brewers, Bucks, and this, and apparently I missed a wrestling discussion. I mean, not really too much. I'm not really in much of a position to speak intelligently about wrestling anymore. I was just talking about growing up in the 80s and feeling like that was like the golden age of, pro wrestling on TV. And then this game, so I don't know anything about this game, this Times of Lore. Sorry, this is a PC game now. They kind of go on about for a while, actually, and I have nothing to say about it. I didn't know if Daryl was still around or not. I thought maybe just because he's really into PC RPGs, I didn't know if he might be able to shed some light. This looks like a really cool game to me. Fantasy role-playing games almost always revolve around the idea of a party of adventurers, like the party of Gandalf, Bilbo, and the dwarves in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. These parties adventure as a unit, and blah, 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 blah. I don't really know what their point is. Maybe you're playing this game solo. Is that what they're saying? I don't really know. All I'm saying is this looks like an interesting role-playing game. But I don't know if it is or not. So, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's 4 pages, so that makes me think that maybe it's pretty good. And then here we have this ad for WordPerfect 5 Solutions, which I'm sure is the same. It looks like the same ad that we saw earlier for whatever the heck that book was about. I don't even remember. Then we get into Sega Masters, and I think they called their Sega section Sega Masters because, of course, at that time, it was the Sega Master System. But you can see that here we are talking about the soon-to-be-released Sega Genesis. So that's pretty exciting. It says, when you're number 2, you try harder. I wonder if they meant that to have that pun there. Since 1985, Nintendo has sold about 15 million game machines in the U.S., winning at least 80% of the American market. Sega, meanwhile, has been forced to share the meager leftovers with Atari. Each company is barely holding on to about 10% of its market, if that. So I know I already talked about that, in like the launch videos and whatnot. But it's important to point out, it was really an uphill battle for the Genesis when they tried to bring it out. So, which makes it more amazing that the Genesis did as well as they did. So, why are we talking about the Habs losing the cup? No one was expecting them to win. I know. I wanted them to win, for what that's worth. I'm getting to the point where it's like, am I ever going to see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup again? Because weren't they the last team to win the Stanley Cup from Canada? Do I have that wrong? Like in 90, 92, 93, 92, when they had Patrick Waugh. Anyway, I don't want to start talking about hockey, but not satisfied to remain a distant also-ran, in June, Sega introduced the American version of an advanced video game machine based on the 16-bit computer technology. The machine has already been available for several months in Japan under the name Mega Drive. It says, for an earlier report on the Mega Drive, see the Sega Masters column in the last issue of Game Players. Unfortunately, this is the oldest issue of Game Players, so I can't check that out. But yeah, so I'll just skip around a little bit. Due to hit stores this fall, about the same time as Turbografx 16. If I remember correctly, didn't they come out like a week apart? I don't remember the launch dates anymore, but I think they were about something like that. They came out right on top of each other. The Genesis represents a new generation. Sorry, we got to move down here a little bit. Represents a new generation home video gaming. Like the Turbografx 16, it offers more detailed graphics, more colors, better animation, flicker-free screen scrolling, well, not always, high-fidelity stereo sound, and game cartridges with greater memory capacity. How exciting is that? The basic Genesis system will sell for under $200 and consists of a base unit that hooks up to any TV or monitor. I don't know. I'm just going to mention, I know that's probably not what they're talking about. Just because back then people used composite video monitors for computers. But I will point out though, if you go on Usenet and look in late 1989, there were already Usenet posts from people talking about building a cable so that you could hook your Genesis up to like a Commodore 1084 RGB monitor and play Genesis in RGB like that soon after the console came out. So I just thought that was kind of cool. But like I said, that's probably not what they're talking about here. Anyway, and one game cartridge, Altered Beast. A better name for this game might be Unaltered Beast, because it's virtually identical to the popular Sega coin-operated version found in video arcades across the country. So I'm curious, like, I've always read this thing that, like, part of the reason that that Sega included Altered Beast as the pack-in is that it was such a popular arcade game. And I'm just curious, like, my personal experience is that I don't remember ever seeing it in the arcades or playing it in the arcades, but that's just me. I'm just one person. So I just wonder, other people, in the chat or whatever, just have, like, different outlooks on that and say, oh, yeah, no, I remember Altered Beast and it was super popular or whatever. Because, maybe it's just me or whatever. Maybe that's just not the kind of game that I was looking to play back then. If you've ever been disappointed in the home version of an arcade game, the Genesis will be a revelation. It is truly capable of duplicating the graphics, sound effects, and gameplay of today's coin-op arcade games. I mean, maybe not quite, but you have to say it was very impressive for the time when you think about arcade conversions on the NES, which is not even a fair comparison. To prove this, Sega is bringing out home versions of two other arcade hits, Super Thunderblade and Space Harrier 2. Other games that Sega will introduce this year are The Last Battle, Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Thunder Force 2. I don't know if that was a working title or if that's like sort of a typo, because of course it was just Thunder Force 2. Tomula Sword Baseball, Professional Basketball, which I'm guessing is Pat Riley. Remember, for a while that was Pat Riley's Slammin' and Jammin' Basketball. Professional Golf, which is probably what turned into Arnold Palmer. World Class Soccer, which I think came out as World Championship Soccer, if I remember correctly. And about 15 other titles. So, yeah, anyway. I think that never came out. It's talking about third parties. For instance, Spectrum Holobyte is translating Falcon, a jet fighter simulator that's popular on personal computers. That never came out. I talk about the Power Base Converter, which definitely helped make the Genesis a little bit easier to swallow, maybe, for the 10% of the gaming population that had large collections of Master System games. They talk about the Telegenesis modem, which I believe never came out. That's not the same as the modem that Norm just did a video about. But they kind of go on about the Telegenesis modem quite a bit, so I'm not going to even bother with that. There's a screenshot for Altered Beast, and they call it again. Oh, no, they got it totally wrong. They called it Super Thunderblade here. Wow. I don't know if that's a mistake that they made or if that's just like a mistake in the information that they were given. That is, of course, Thunder Force 2, but they have it labeled as Super Thunderblade. Sorry, Wookie, I was not trying to put you in your place. I just, I stay plugged into what's going on around me. Okay, they're still talking about the Telegenesis modem. They're still talking about the Telegenesis modem. Here they get into the technical details. Does anybody not know the technical details of the Genesis at this point? Motorola 68000, the Z80 coprocessor for the sound, blah, blah, blah. Can display 512 colors on the screen, which is really not that many. Which is, I think, why the Genesis sort of aged out a little bit faster than the Super Nintendo did. And then they briefly mention the CD-ROM drive down there. And then over here they talk about the Atari Lynx, which is just kind of funny, to me at least, that it seems sort of like the Lynx gets better coverage than the Game Boy did. It's probably a lower word count, but at least you've got 4 pictures here. Sorry, just really quickly, $5 super chat from Mujanga, who says your internet is sucking, so you'll have to tap out. Congratulations on 8 years. Thanks for all the content. Thanks a lot, man. I'm sorry about your internet sucking, but glad to see you again. Anyway, so I just want to talk about the Lynx a little bit. Of course, I already did like a whole episode about the Lynx here on this channel, but maybe not you can't maybe say the same thing about the Lynx versus the Game Boy as you could about the Genesis versus the Turbografx, but I don't know. The Lynx and the Jaguar both, I would say, are excellent examples of great hardware being hampered by a lack of software. And that was something like, because when the Lynx came out, Bernie Stoller, who I know you all hate Bernie Stoller, but he was basically in charge of the Lynx. And I think it's one of the things that got him to leave Atari and go to Sony for a while before he went to Sega, was it drove him crazy that he felt like he had this great piece of software and he just didn't have great piece of hardware and just didn't have the software to help sell it. Because I think the Lynx is an awesome little system. They make comparisons with the Game Boy. While Nintendo was introducing the Game Boy at the Summer Consumer Electronics Show this June, there was a colorful surprise at the nearby Atari booth, the world's first handheld video game machine with a full color screen. Like the Game Boy, the Atari Portable Color Entertainment System, that is a mouthful, is a battery-operated or battery-powered video game machine that's small enough to fit into a book bag or briefcase, although to be fair, it is much bigger than a Game Boy. And like the Game Boy, it has stereo sound and uses game cartridges the size of credit cards. But that's where the similarities end. Instead of the Game Boy's 2.5-inch black and white LCD screen, the Atari has a 3.5-inch LCD capable of displaying 4,096 colors. And they show some screenshots here that are really not easy to see. There's California Games, which was the pack-in game with the Lynx, and is really a great game. And this one is, what is this? It doesn't say what game. Is that Chip? I think that's Chip's Challenge. Maybe. I don't think it is. I don't know what that is. It doesn't say. It just says, as seen here, the Atari's color graphics are comparable to those on a full-size TV screen. The animation is equally fast and smooth. If anybody has an idea of what game they think that is, shoot your shot. And then down here, obviously, is... Oh, actually, it says Monster Demolition is another Epix game for the Atari Portable. Godzilla and King Kong are on the march again. I would have thought... That looks like Rampage to me. Isn't it? I don't know. Yeah. Atari Portable requires 6 AA batteries. Doesn't mention that gets you about 2 hours of playtime. It comes with an AC adapter. Did it come with the AC adapter? That doesn't. I don't think it came with it. 1 game card, Epix's California Games, a carrying case, and a special cable that allows 8 machines to be hooked together. That would have been cool. I thought theoretically you could hook some. It was some ridiculous number like 64 Lynxes together. Although obviously there were no games that supported that, but I thought I read that somewhere that like in theory you could hook 64 Lynxes together. Although at $149.95, the Atari is priced significantly higher than the $89.99 Game Boy. The Nintendo machine does not include a carrying case or AC adapter, or of course a color screen. Atari is clearly hoping that avid game players are willing to pay more for the extra features. So, yeah, like I said, I don't remember it coming with the AC adapter, but because I have an AC adapter for my Lynx that I bought brand new in the box. So, why would they sell it separately if it came with the system? Since Alex is still here, you were talking about Amiga coverage in Discord today. So I don't really have anything to say, at least about this game. Maybe you might. They have Dungeon Master, which was this the game that came out for the Turbo CD, or was that like a sequel? Dungeon Master is a dungeon crawling game. Just to be honest, I've never played it, so I don't even really have anything to say about it. In general, I like dungeon crawlers. So, and I like Amiga games, so this would be a fun game to check out. Alex says it's great, so there you go. Then we got a little section here, Commodore players. Of course, technically the Amiga is a Commodore computer, but they, of course, mean Commodore 64 and 128. So the first one they're showing here is Hillsfar, which was an SSI Advanced Dungeons and Dragons gold box game. I've never played that. They've also got a game called Pro Soccer, and I have never played that either. If I want to play a soccer game on an Amiga home computer, I'm going to play Sensible Soccer, one of the Sensible Soccer entries on the Amiga. And over here, I just want to briefly point out, they actually have a section here on Macintosh gaming, which, you don't really think of, the black and white Motorola 68000 based Macs. You don't really think of gaming. But I was just happy to see Shuffle Puck Cafe get mentioned, because that's actually a pretty cool game. And I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. So look exactly over my head right now. That is a Mac Classic. And at some point, I would like to make a video about it for this channel. And it was going to be sort of about gaming on black and white Macs. And I had it in the list specifically that I was going to talk about Shuffle Puck Cafe. So that's kind of cool. Alex, got to call it a night, but congrats again on 8 solid years. Thanks for stopping by. Sorry, different Alex. Retro Game Squad Alex. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. Shuffle Puck on the Amiga is fun and in color. I didn't know that Shuffle Puck Cafe came out on the Amiga, so that's interesting. Thank you. And as you can see, that's all I have to say about gaming on the Mac, because there's not a whole lot to say. But then I just thought this was kind of cool. I believe I talked about this game on an episode of Flashback, Captain Comic. And wasn't it was Captain Comic and I think Commander Keen. I think I talked about both of them, maybe even in the same episode. But it's a really cool game. Back then, I think just sort of due to like hardware limitations, IBM PCs were not good at scrolling. And so there were a lot, like on XT class machines, you had a lot of like single screen type games. That's why you couldn't have something like Super Mario Brothers on the IBM PC in the early days, is it wasn't really good at scrolling for reasons that I don't understand enough to speak intelligently about. But this was a game that did it reasonably well. And I think the reason this is called Cheap Thrills is they're talking about like shareware games, because Captain Comic was a shareware game, and they even mention it here at the end. The Adventures of Captain Comic is a shareware game program written by Michael A. Donaio, blah, blah, blah. And then it says here, this kind of blew me away a little bit. You can write Donaio at, and then they give an address that is seemingly like his home address, because it's not a P.O. box. So I thought that was kind of crazy. But, I mean, it's the kind of game where, in this day and age, you probably have to kind of take it with a grain of salt if you play it. But I think it's a fun game. So, But again, I played it back in the day. I think I downloaded it probably off of a BBS. And then over here you have Gravity Wars for the Amiga, which I don't know if Alex Lemmy has something to say about that. I'd never heard of it. So, yeah. Oh, they're still talking about it over here. It almost seems like it's something similar to, like I talked about Scorched Earth, and I enjoyed playing that. It sort of seems similar to that. Like I think it seems like it's two ships shooting at each other, but you have like the gravitational forces of these planets that you have to take into consideration. Yeah. Turn your used video game cartridges into cash. And then here we get into this long guide of Zelda 2. So I'm not going to spend too much time. Like I said, I already did a complete playthrough of Zelda 2. So I don't really know what to say about it. I guess the only thing I would say, because I was trying to kind of think about this, you guess no one's ever heard of Blake Stone? Blake Stone's an awesome game. I have Blake Stone on floppy disk and on CD. So there you go. Anyway, all I was going to say is, Zelda 2 came out in late 88, didn't it? Like I remember Zelda 2 being like one of the games to get for Christmas in 1988. But of course, that's when you still had the chip shortage going on. And I'm only saying that because it's like, this seems like it's an awful lot later to have a guide like this. But I wonder if Zelda 2 wasn't just more readily available by now. And maybe that's why it's here. But I said it before. The only thing I'll say again is I think that Zelda 2 is a great game. I think for a long time, people were down on the game. I think that's not really the case so much anymore. I think its image has sort of been maybe rehabilitated a little bit. And I don't know, for whatever reason, like recently, like not one but two different people in my Discord, Subtle Wookie, who's in the chat there, and Mothboy, who I think was here earlier, they both recently did live streams where they beat the game. So yeah, see, it keeps going on because I think it's a complete playthrough. And then we get into another deep dive here, Space Quest 3, The Pirates of Pestilon, which I don't think I've spent much time playing Space Quest 3. I've played more Space Quest 1 and 2. But I think all these Sierra games are a lot of fun. So, I played a lot of these when I was a kid, again, because my friend Stuart, because his dad worked at Sierra, he got all of these games for free. So, like, I think we even had Leisure Suit Larry, which, I mean, by that time we were like 14 years old. I mean, Leisure Suit Larry is not that risque. Yeah. But I mean, you see, it's a pretty big, and this is not a guide. This is just a deep dive of like, check out this game. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's got sort of some tips and some spoilers in it, but it's not a guide in the same way that the Zelda 2 thing was. And then we get into some reviews finally. And one thing about game players, they did not use scores or grades for their reviews. Like, it was just like you read the review to get their opinion, but they didn't give you some like little summary kind of deal. So, maybe this was aimed at an older audience. I don't really know that for a fact. The first one they've got here is Sylpheed for the IBM PC. And the main thing I wanted to mention about this is I don't remember, at some point on this channel I showed this mug that I have, like a coffee mug, that has the Sierra logo, and it says Sierra in English on one side, and then it's in like Japanese on the other side, like whatever, kanji or the other one. I don't remember which, but and I think that was a product of the relationship that they had with somebody over in Japan that brought both Thexter and Sylpheed to the U.S. And if you read Hackers, the book Hackers by Stephen Levy, they talked about it briefly, because I think when Levy was like hanging out at Sierra, doing the research to write this book, Game Arts. But I'm not sure that it was Game Arts? My recollection from reading the book was that it was some other company, but maybe Game Arts is the company that had figured out some system to make it easier to port games from Japanese home computers to the IBM PC. And they were like looking for somebody in the US to publish those games here. And so they came to Sierra, and talked to Ken Williams. And because, normally Sierra published games that like they made, or that, independent contractors that they paid made. And so for them to be kind of a third-party publisher almost for this kind of stuff was a new thing for them. But anyway, it gets touched on briefly in that book. And so that's why, like, when I found that mug, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I assume, like, oh, that must be because of that relationship. And anyway, that is where Thexter and Sylpheed came from. And, of course, Sylpheed ended up also coming out on the Sega CD. So I was actually going to say we could check that out, but I looked, and for some reason my Sega CD-ROMs are not on the MiSTer. I don't know what happened. Or images, whatever you want to call them. Then we got some more IBM PC reviews here that I don't really want to go through. I don't know what the Magic Candle is or Steel Thunder. But the only thing I wanted to point out was so like in like the early like 2001, 2002, 2003, I had a subscription to PC Gamer and Computer Gaming World because I had gotten back into playing PC games, and I just remember that this guy William R. Trotter, I don't remember which. I think it was PC Gamer, but I wouldn't swear to it. He was reviewing games for one of those magazines, but it was like he only did like desktop, like I think he called himself like the desktop general, and the games he was doing were like these like military strategy type games, like hex grid games and stuff like that. And so it was just kind of a trip to see this magazine that's like 12, 13 years older, and to still see his name there, because I remember like in PC Gamer they had his picture, and you could see that he was kind of an older guy, so it kind of makes sense that he'd been in the industry for a while. But anyway, I'm trying to keep going because there are reviews of console games in here. There's NFL Challenge again for IBM PC, and Search for the Titanic, which looks kind of interesting, except that like those at least look like CGA graphics to me. It says here EGA, but does that look like EGA to you? I don't know. Certainly by 1989, I can't imagine anybody putting up with CGA graphics anymore. But anyway, so then we get into a couple of games, and I thought I wanted to check at least one of these out. We got Air Fortress and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I don't know, Air Fortress I just thought looked kind of cool. I'm not going to read the whole review, but let's like check out some of the review first, and then maybe we can fire the game up real quick. I'm just going to skip basically to the end, although none of this is exactly fresh because it's talking about it being a shooter. Air Fortress stands out for a couple of reasons. First, the graphics. The screens are genuinely imaginative and richly detailed, realistically simulating an alien high-tech environment. You may find yourself freezing certain screens just to savor the quality of work on display. Wow. Second, Air Fortress is very playable. It should even hold the interest of players whose intolerance of frustration normally makes them shy away from, they're calling it Zap the Aliens games. Air Fortress is certainly not an easy Nintendo game by any means, but seems designed to be challenging rather than impossibly difficult. It should find favor with a wide audience. So, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to check that out, just because I'm not sure I've ever played this game before. So, Air Fortress. Get out of Danny Sullivan here. Boom. Cool music. Even the graphics right there, that's a cool looking space station. Do you guys remember in the 80s there was like this TV show on PBS? And I don't remember the name of the show, but it was like this guy, and I think he was called like Commander Mark. And he wore like this sort of like military futuristic spacesuit thing. And it had like on one of the sleeves, it had a place to put pens. And it was like a show for kids, but it was to teach you how to draw. And like at the end of the show, like he had like this huge piece of butcher paper on the, well, it probably wasn't butcher paper, but something like that on the wall. And it was like this gigantic, like space station-y looking thing. And like every week or whatever, he would add a little bit more to it. And I just remember that show was so cool. But when I saw that, it reminded me of that show. And I see a couple people remember it, but I don't know if anybody remembers the name. Anyway, okay. Oh, it's a HAL Laboratory game. All right. That's the Kirby people. Now, I've never played this game before, so please excuse my horribleness. Okay, so both buttons do the same thing. So that's an enemies button or what? I will say I think those are really cool graphics. Seems a little slow. You know, like it reminds me of like Blazing Lasers, where sometimes it seems like you're just sort of waiting on the screen for like some enemies to show up so that you can kill them. Okay, I got a bomb. How do you... Right, I don't know what any of this stuff's doing that I'm picking up, but it says B5, so isn't that like bombs? But then like I don't know how you set off a bomb. Yeah, the ship looks weird. The ship looks like a dude, like, leaning forward, and then it looks like he has, like, a tail. Okay, that can't be bombs. Now I got 25. Uh-oh. So I don't have control anymore. It's like we're coming in for a landing or something. I don't know what's going on. Looks like he's riding a space boogie board. That's awesome. Alright, I don't know what's going on here at all. Oh, we're taking an elevator. Alright. We're now entering the air fortress. Oh, you can push up and down to, like, kind of make your dude go up and down? Dude, this game is pretty cool, man. I could get into this. I don't know if we're allowed to touch things or if that kills us. Alright, another elevator, maybe? What are we doing? Hey, let's go. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, he says you're using the bee that you collected. Is that like... Well, what's the bee? Oh, is that like shots? That's not cool. Oh, I see. Okay, so now A and B don't do the same thing anymore. Like A is a basic shot and B is like, I think, a little bit more powerful. Like, now playing this game, I'm, like, surprised that I don't know about this game. Like, doesn't this game seems kind of cool. I'm guessing we don't want to touch those, so I'm trying to stay away from that. Oh my god. Oh, can I shoot those? I'm sorry, I should have tried to shoot them. Oh, yeah, alright. I thought you had to, like, just try to get past them. Although I don't know how you would go... I don't know how you would take the high side and make it past them. Missed the title of the game. It's Air Fortress. And from what I'm seeing so far, I recommend it. Do I have any more? Oh my god, I have like one sip. I may have to take a break soon and go get another drink. This is like more talking than I've done in a long time. And my throat's getting a little bit irritated. It's the downside of having the voice that I have or whatever, is that, like, after a while my throat starts hurting just from talking. Get away from me. It's like a space moth or something. We got some more B, though. Wow. Oh crap! Is this like a boss battle or something? Oh, okay. No, it's not. We had to use it. We had to use a little B there. It's kind of weird, like just going through these like rooms. Something just happened. See, the music went away? Oh, I think we're just at the end. Alright, now we're getting back on the boogie board. It's just a cutscene or something. I don't have any control. Oh, is Mothboy still around? Alright, now we're approaching the second air fortress. Man, we used up all of our B, so hopefully we find some more. Thanks, man. You refuse to believe there's a downside to having the voice. Well, the downside is that I think I partially got this voice by smoking for many years. So the downside may end up being lung cancer. But thanks. Oh shit. Thanks. You didn't have to do that again. I didn't realize it was like one of these like you can't touch the walls kind of thing. I think it's just, are those things supposed to be like spiky protrusions or something? Let's not touch those. I feel like there's not really any point to even shooting a lot of this stuff. It's like you might as well just let it go. Like, do you even have a score? It might be one of those games where it only shows you the score like between levels or something. Of course, yeah, you do want to kill him because you're trying to get more B. So I guess we should try to kill as much things as possible. I don't know if the E is supposed to be like kind of like hit points or something. I didn't look because the only time we hit anything was that spiky thing. So I don't know if we lost some of our E, which I'm sure is energy. I don't know what B is. Yang, yeah, I've still never had. Was it Yangling or Youngling or how do you? Or did I have one in Connecticut? Maybe I had one. I don't remember. We can't get that here. We don't have it. I mean, I know I'm not drinking beer currently, but let's all be honest here. It's not. That's only a matter of time. Oh, when you go underground, you'll notice your E depleting. All right. Is that like the energy that you? Is that like your jetpack fuel? Oh yeah. Well, maybe it is, but then it goes back up. It goes back up to 900. So I don't really know. Oops! I just used the B by accident. That's the other thing is when you use your normal gun, there's like, oh no, there's like recoil. But when you use the B one, there's not, which kind of doesn't make sense because the B one's more powerful. So wouldn't you think that would have recoil? But then you have to be careful because you see it'll push you back into these spikes. I mean, maybe this game's going to get like repetitive or something, but so far I gotta say I'm very impressed. Those have like, oh no, those have like magnets that turn on. Oh yeah, see now we lost some of our E because we got shot. Take that. No. Got shot again. Oh, okay, you can't shoot the silver ones. So you have to go all the way around like that. Hey, Wally Llama, what's up? Oh, sorry. I forgot. You gotta push down to actually make it go. So I could have skipped all those things, but I just figured I better shoot them in case I can get some B or some E, because we need both. Well, we don't need it, but wouldn't mind. It's kind of funny because I said I didn't think there was like that many good games to play in this magazine, but I already just feel like even just the fact that I found this game kind of made it all worth it. Well, like I said, I mean, I just think it's an interesting issue just because, like I said, it's like, you know, the great thing about video game magazines is it's a snapshot of time. And, you know, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I just think, you know, the summer of '89 was an exciting time to be a gamer. Oh, Marcelo's taking off. Gotta hit the hay. So nice to hang out for almost 2 hours here. Well, thanks for hanging out, Marcelo. I really appreciate it. Smoke Monster says, is there any Super C in this magazine? No, so it's funny. I was going to read a different magazine where it was a different issue of Game Players where Super C was on the cover. But like I said, I'm going to do a video about Konami games pretty soon. Like, it's one of the first videos I want to make after the PlayStation video is done. Although that's going to be for this channel. So it's going to be like more casual. It's going to be almost more like a flashback kind of. So I want to wait for that, but, you know, also the main reason I was wanting to play Super C was kind of like just to, dude, these homing things suck, was just kind of to give Wookiee a little bit of crap, and so I just kind of felt like that's a dumb reason to play a game on a live stream, is just to give somebody crap, especially if that someone is Wookiee, so, plus I want him to play Super C. I already know Super C is good. Needed E. I don't know what to do about these things because I don't know. I guess you just have to kind of be creative about dodging their little projectiles. Yeah, I just got hit again. We just need to just book. Things are getting ugly. You didn't take the chance to give me crap. Are you feeling okay? I give you crap on your show. Like, giving you crap on my show is like a whole new level. Ooh, we have a choice to make here. You can go either way. All right. I've got one of my lucky bicentennial quarters here. Tails left, heads right. Tails. Only escape? Isn't that good? Oh, we can't go this way though, right? We need to go. Okay, I think we have to go back out and take the other path. So the quarter flip let us down. Oh god, not this thing again. Nope. Oh, goddamn it. Nice. No. Damn it. Got some more B though. It's like they have these things have like a death finish, like a move. Like, I don't know what you call it. You know, like some of the bosses in Castlevania where you kill them, but then they have one last little thing that they do. What the heck? Oh man, we're not in good shape, man. Get away. All right, Oh, Wow. Dude, that's a cool game. We got Game Overdose. That's the end of that. But that's almost a game that I wouldn't mind revisiting at some point, because that's very cool. But we still have a little bit of the magazine left. We're actually almost done, but that's fine because it's 9 o'clock. So yeah. All right. Back here. All right. So that was Air Fortress, which, you know, I would agree with the reviewer, William R. Trotter. That was a good game. I'm not going to check out Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I think that's a bit of a more involved game. But trying to see what they... I feel like there's nothing in this review that really talks about whether or not it's good, which kind of makes me think that it's not good and they just don't want to say that it's not good. Like this one, like the last two paragraphs, them talking about, you know, how good the game is, but over here it's like they're describing the game without like taking a position on it. That being said, I haven't played the game, so I can't say. There is, of course, Hudson's Adventure Island, which is a cool game. I think I've talked about that. I think I talked about the whole story about Adventure Island on a magazine read through, you know, about like that and what is it, Wonder Boy. And then over here is Mappy Land, which I feel like Mappy Land is a game that like I used to run into a lot, like at thrift stores and stuff when I started collecting NES games. It's still 90 degrees there. Yeah, it's 90. My computer says it's 92, so I don't know if it actually is 92, but it's hot, especially for 9 o'clock at night. That's awful. Thundercade. Thundercade, I know we talked about a little bit on a magazine read through, but I don't remember too much about it. I don't know. Do you guys want to check out Thundercade just for a minute? Just because, I mean, I just don't remember a lot about it. I kind of don't remember it being good, but I could be wrong. It's just so easy to just load up a game real fast on the old Mister. Oh, sorry. The sound's not on. Wow, we're going to destroy the atomic power plant. Oh. Well, okay, I'll say that the game does not look good, but the controls feel good, and that's more important. This reminds me kind of like of a game that like Micronix would have programmed. Oh, what do I call it? A bomb strike. Oh, that's kind of cool. It sucks that you can't. So, like, depending on what power-ups you pick up, like, so I can shoot right with that sidecar, but then like I can't shoot left with the other sidecar that I just lost anyway. That's kind of frustrating. But maybe is there something about the game that I don't know? I don't think so. Yeah, Jason, I agree. This has Akari Warriors vibes in more ways than one. We'll just play maybe to the end of the first level or something, just because, like, I don't know if we even get to the end of the first level. Oh, God. I don't know, I just died. Maybe I shouldn't have done that to begin with. It looks kind of cool, though, the way it's just like a submarine sticking out in there. Wow. No animation there, it just died. kind of losing steam with this one, to be honest. Like, at first I was going to say, like, I could see renting this game, but not anymore. That's enough of that. And then over here, of course, is Paperboy. I mean, Paperboy is a game that needs no introduction, so... I don't know how good I think the Nintendo version is, but it's not bad. I'm gonna go. I mean, we're almost done with the magazine, but I'm really thirsty. So if you guys will forgive me, I'm gonna go grab another drink just real fast. So I will be right back. Okay, thanks for that. Sorry about that, but it's Thursday. I got another Topo Chico, so sorry, not exciting. Okay, so I think we decided we're not going to try Paperboy. Just seeing what's in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bart. It's 6 a.m. where you are. Thanks for hanging out, though. I definitely appreciate it. I don't know if I'd be willing to do that for a channel I liked. So I appreciate you hanging out. For some reason, it goes back to more computer games now, which I don't really get. But that's okay. Blood Money, which it looks like it's a shooter. So Blood Money just seems like a weird name. It says a version reviewed Amiga. So it looks like a neat game to be very honest. I mean, I'm just looking at screenshots, obviously, but I don't know if Alex Limmy's still in here or not. But it looks like a game that I'd be interested in checking out for sure. And what do they say here? Well, up here it says, Blood Money allows two people to play simultaneously. That's pretty cool. By working together, it's possible for two players to get much further than either player would on his own. The difficulty level of Blood Money is much closer to that of coin-operated arcade games. Sorry, I'm trying to switch back and forth. There are 4 large planets to explore, and each one takes a long time to finish. In fact, I've never seen anybody get to the end of any of the planets. But like the best arcade games, Blood Money will keep you coming back for more. I don't know. I just think that sounds kind of... The screenshots make it look good, and the game sounds kind of neat. So I would definitely be willing to give that game a try. Bard's preferred energy drink is some sort of caffeinated tea, if I remember. I forgot what you called it, but I believe you drink tea. Oh, too bad. He says Blood Money's not a good game. Oh well. And then over here we have Batman the Caped Crusader, which I don't. Is that the game maybe that we saw the ad? I don't want to go find it. The ad that we saw earlier. The game looks pretty bad. But what is that? It's a Commodore 64 game, so that's kind of why it looks. I don't mean to say Commodore 64. I'm just saying compared to like a IBM PC game or an Amiga game, like a Commodore game's not going to look as good. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good game. Sega reviews. We have Roston. It's Roston. I say Roston. I actually have this game. I wouldn't mind. We could play a little bit of Roston if you guys want. Yeah, why not? Because we've only played NES games. Like, let's see about loading up a Master System game. So then we will have to switch cores. I don't know if I've even set the controls. We'll see what happens. Hold on, I might have to resize the... Hey. Oh boy. I think I need to like zoom out. But if I... Oh, here. Yeah. So I always feel like it's breaking the fourth wall, or whatever they say, like, when I start messing with, like, OBS windows during a stream. Can't you, like... Yeah. Is the music okay? I feel like now the music seems like it's a lot quieter. Can't I? What's that? Oh my gosh. This game is very bloody. There we go. Now I feel your pain. How do I feel your pain? I don't know what's going on down there. Oh no. Oh, I thought we were dead. Game kind of has Rygar vibes a little bit. Am I making that up? I have Rygar for the links. This game kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Sorry, this D-pad is really squeaky. Oh, look at that. That's handy. Sun's going down. We go down here. I kind of like this flame sword thing. I don't really feel like I want to give it up, you know? We won't play this for too much longer, but... I don't even know what I just picked up. Oh. Dang it. We lost our flame sword. Everybody say hi to Bard's fiance. No! Oh, I see, Wookiee. Yeah, I don't... Well, yeah, that's the thing, because, you know, like, the Master System has a very different aspect ratio. So, yeah. But see, unlike you, I fix it. Oh, crap. I didn't think that was going to happen. We should go make sure there's nothing cool over here. Dead? We're dead. All right. I don't know. That was kind of okay, you know. Yeah, I saw that wall jump. I don't think it's shade, Wookie. I think it's just sort of the truth. Okay. So that was Roston. What do they say? Overall, Roston is worth the price of admission. It's a difficult game, and often you'll wish for more than just 3 continues. So I guess you only get 3 continues. Figure out how to beat the second dragon, let me know. So I guess the reviewer didn't get very far in the game. So, and then over here, game news and previews. Lucasfilm debuts Indiana Jones and Looms. They have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I haven't played that one. I can't remember the name of the Indiana Jones game that I've played. It was a LucasArts. You know, it's one of these point-and-click adventure games, but, you know, it was the one after it. Yeah? Oh, all right. Sorry, guys. I got a kitten situation. All right. Sorry about that. I'm sure many of you out there have had kittens or puppies, and in both cases, you know that sometimes they create a little extra work. So yeah. I mean, my wife's been up there, babysitting her for about 3 hours while I've been streaming with you guys. So anyway, I can't remember the name of the game. There's Indiana Jones. It's like on the tip of my tongue, like Indiana Jones and the something. Stuart actually gave it to me as like a, birthday or Christmas present or something. It's a really good game though, but now I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, Indiana Jones and was it The Fate of Atlantis? It was called Fate of Atlantis. Sounds right. Really good game. And then Loom, which I have to admit, I haven't played Loom. I actually have Loom for the Turbo CD just because I happened to find it in a local store for what I thought was a good price. Everybody says how great of a game Loom is. It's just I'm kind of dragging my feet on it. And then down here, Data East kicks off MVP Sports. I just always notice this kind of stuff just because I like sports games. ABC Monday Night Football is the first entry into Data East's new series of MVP sports simulations for PC compatible. I could swear I've covered that game for some reason on the show. ABC Monday Night Football. Wasn't it? I feel like Data East might have published it, but somebody else developed it, and I think I was talking about the developer for some reason. I don't remember. I'm old. Anyway, gamers await Double Dragon sequel. The eagerly awaited sequel to Double Dragon 2: The Revenge, is reported by Virgin Mastertronic to be in the advanced stages of development for the Amiga, with the Atari ST PC-compatible Commodore 64 and Apple II GS versions not far behind. Interesting just to see Virgin Mastertronic mentioned in an American game magazine, because I always think of Mastertronic as being like, well, Virgin too, right? As being like a, British company. So when I think of like Virgin Mastertronic games, I think of like ZX Spectrum cassette tape games or something. Anyway, Epic's Hangs 10 again. This was interesting. I guess I never knew, or I just didn't remember that there was a sequel to California Games 2. I mean, California Games is a great game, so it would be cool to check out the sequel. I don't know what systems that came out on. It doesn't say here. Then it talks about Revenge of Defender, which I've never heard of. But I wonder if like because they even show a screenshot here, but they don't say what system it's for. But I don't know. It looks like maybe it's the Amiga. I'd be curious to look it up, just because that would be neat. And then down here, Star Goose flies into stores. The planet Nom is the setting for Spinnaker's new game, or new adventure rather, Star Goose. I've never heard of Star Goose. Over here, wow, you get some 7800 love. Absolute Entertainment is releasing a variety of games for Nintendo, Sega, and Atari game systems. And then they're showing, I'll even zoom in on it for you. Get rid of that glare. Kung Fu Master for the Atari 7800. Which I know, I mean, we've seen some Atari 7800 coverage in magazines of this vintage before, but I just think it sort of bears repeating that it was still an option, I guess. I would say it was still being supported at this time. That it was something else you could get instead of a Nintendo or a Master System, as you could get an Atari 7800. And maybe I wouldn't be surprised if I've said this before, but I would say the same thing about the Master System probably. I would never have wanted the Master System or the 7800 to have been my primary game console back then, just because I had an NES. But it would have been really cool to have a 2600 or a 7800, because remember, a 7800 is backwards compatible with 2600 games. It would have been cool to have as a second system. I didn't have a second. Well, I guess the Game Boy kind of became my second system when I got that. But yeah. Here they mention Curse of the Azure Bonds, which is yet another SSI Advanced Dungeons and Dragons gold box game. It says here a sequel to the highly successful Hillsfar. So interesting that they reviewed Hillsfar earlier, and then here they are talking about the sequel already. I think I actually have this game. I have 2 or 3 like complete in the box SSI gold box games, and I think maybe I have like Pool of Radiance and Curse of the Azure Bonds. I don't know, sounds familiar. And then down here, Intracorp's new interactive comic book game, Superman the Man of Steel, also coming out for home computers. And I don't know what Knights of Legend is either. I don't know if you guys can hear the galloping up there. Apparently the kitten was napping, and now she's up. And then over here, I saw this, and it kind of, I guess it never like dawned on me that I've never actually played Hardball on a home computer. I've only ever played Hardball on the Genesis, Hardball and Hardball 3. And it would just be interesting. I don't know. I don't know what the well, this is an 89 magazine, so yes, I do know. This would be the perfect game for me to play on my Tandy 1000, actually, which is another, earlier I mentioned the Mac Classic here. Right next to it is a Tandy 1000, I forgot, TL2, I think. And I also want to do a video about that, the way I did with the original Tandy 1000 or Tandy 1000A. Math guy, who I think that's Eddie. Isn't that you, Eddie? Good night. Thanks for, if I remember correctly, where you are, it's very late. So thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway, it would just, I'd be interested in checking out Hardball. Wasn't Hardball the game that Fred Savage was playing? in The Princess Bride. You know, when Peter Falk, his grandfather, comes in there and, you know, he's reading a story to him or whatever. Remember, he was playing a baseball game on, like, Commodore 64 or something. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I think it was Hardball he was playing. Anyway. And now with this conspiracy, the Deadlock Files. That actually, I mean, I realize that we're looking at one screenshot, but it seems like it might be neat. The Deadlock Files is a first-person adventure set in New York City. It includes dozens of highly detailed digitized screens of the Big Apple. As the game starts, you are framed and must prove your innocence. I don't know, it might be kind of cool. Lately, I've been on this kick of watching like old 90s episodes of Law and Order. So I don't know, seeing something like that just makes me think of that. So I don't know. And then over here, here's a murder mystery in which you can't cheat and read the last page to find out who done it. Kyodai Software has released an interactive mystery, Murder Club, in which you're assigned to find out who killed Bill Robbins. Is that J.B. Harold's Murder Club game? Is that the same game? I don't know. And then over here, Mindscape. There's something for everyone in the new releases from Mindscape. The new titles include role-playing adventures, circus games, science fiction actions, and a motorcycle simulation. The fate of the starship USS Enterprise rests with you in Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, which I'll just say quickly, a lot of people don't like that movie, Star Trek V. I thought it was pretty cool, personally. I thought that was a very interesting idea for the plot. So people say they don't like that movie. I don't really get it. Following on the heels of the summer movie, the game features all the familiar crew members. The PC-compatible version is being released in September, blah, blah, blah. Gauntlet 2. In Gauntlet 2, a role-playing adventure. I wouldn't call Gauntlet a role-playing game. You choose one of several characters to search through dozens of mazes looking for clues to vast treasure. Like, people don't know what Gauntlet is. Available for PC-compatibles, Amiga. Might be kind of interesting to check out. And then I don't know what this bike is. It's a cross-country trek to a biker rally in Sturgis. Nice. Is the plot of Harley Davidson, The Road to Sturgis. Cruise along highways and compete in 5 different bikers contests to prove you've got what it takes to be a road hog. Being released for PC compatibles, the Amiga and Atari ST. I don't know. It's probably not a good game, but I don't know. I'd be interested in checking it out. When in the World is Carmen Sandiego? So I guess that's Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Like, I used to love Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on like Apple II computers, but I never got into any of the other ones. And then I don't know what the heck is this. Activision's Nintendo Sweepstakes. Win a complete library of hot Activision Nintendo games. No purchase necessary. Just fill out the order form below. And it goes to this. It's excellent Nintendo Sweepstakes at a P.O. box in San Francisco. It just seems weird, like, because it doesn't say like who's putting on. Well, it says Activision's, but like you're not really I don't know. Doesn't that seem fishy? Like, I just read that and I'm like, what's the catch? Like, wouldn't you at least take out a full page ad to like peep out your games if you were going to do that? I don't know. Oh, and then a couple of hardware items here in video game news and previews. The first is this Homework First locking device, which is yet another topic of a video of Norms, the gaming historian. So yeah, we've seen this in past magazine read-throughs. I think I just kind of make some kind of little comment about it and move on. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny, but I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's just like, is it that hard to unplug the Nintendo? I mean, couldn't your parents just like unplug it real quick and carry it away? I mean, I don't feel like that's any more effort than having to have this weird combination lock. I don't know, whatever. And then down here they've got the Power Glove, which these are not like reviews. It's just telling you like this is like game news. So it's like, here, this is a thing that exists. So they're describing the Power Glove, but they do not take a position on it. And then I can't go through all this. It's the Hot 100 of games. So I mean, it's just a big list. Although there's Earl Weaver. Baseball. That was the only other one I was thinking when I was talking about a minute ago about the Princess Bride. It's possible he was playing Earl Weaver baseball. Oh, look here. They're mentioning Contra, which Contra had already been out for a little while, like a year when this came out. But these are not meant to be like new things. It's just like the Hot 100 is supposed to be like, I guess, the 100 coolest video games out on the market, I guess. I don't really know. This is just a cool ad over here. I don't know what this XOR Corporation is, but it's just cool. It looks like an old IBM 5150. And I guess apparently they make mostly sports games, but I've never heard of the XOR company. This just keeps going on and on, so we can't. Oh, what's down here? Marketplace, Balboa Game Company, Long Beach, California. You can order some Nintendo baseball caps. Oh, there's a Telegames ad. That's kind of cool. And then over here is like Gamers Hall of Fame, and I think this is just where kids have like maybe written in, and they get their picture in the magazine along with some mention of their gaming tastes. But I don't know, that I always look at these because I always wonder like, oh, maybe I'll see somebody I know, because like one time I was reading an old Nintendo Power and I saw the name of a kid I went to high school with, and so I thought that was cool. But yeah, from what it says here, it's like they send in like a picture of some gaming accomplishment, and that's how they get in here. So I mean, that's kind of cool. And then we're on the last page here at this point. Chartbusters, sampler of some of the most popular computer games from several current bestseller lists. So for whatever reason, this is like only computer games that they're showing here. Although down here it says Readers Poll, Nintendo and Sega Top 10. So I guess maybe that seems like going forward they were planning on having those. But here, this is all just computer software. And so this is SPA, which, what did we say? They talked about SPA when they were they had the little feature about the Video Game Awards. It was Software Publishers Association or something like that. And these are computer games with more than 250,000 copies sold. So that's pretty cool. SPA Platinum. California games. Chuck Yeager's Advanced Flight Trainer. I remember that one. Dr. J and Larry Bird Go One-on-One by Electronic Arts. I think I might have that game. For anybody that's never seen them, the old Electronic Arts computer games are really cool. They came in... It almost looked like an album, like a vinyl album, but maybe it was like 10 inches instead of 12, because what was in there was just floppy disks. But very unique game packaging for the time. So I have a few Electronic Arts games for the Apple II that came like that, and they're just cool to have. F-15 Strike Eagle, Hardball, which we talked about. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I have that one. Infocom also. The game packaging wasn't that cool, but Infocom games always came with lots of extra stuff in them. So I have a few Infocom games, like a couple of the Zork titles. I have Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and a couple more, and they're really cool. Pinball Construction Set, another EA game. Do I have Pinball? I think I have something Construction Set. Maybe it's not Pinball. There was more than one Construction Set game. Summer Games, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I have that. It was sealed. I might have opened it. I got it like sealed for the Apple II for like $5 on eBay, so of course I'm buying that. Oh, we got a super chat from Mr. Cellini. Hey Chris, happy 8 years. Thank you for all the amazing content. Cheers from Long Island, New York, where it is getting late. Well, thank you. I don't know if you pronounce it Cellini or Cellini, but either way, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Babbage's Top 10. Babbage's was still a thing back then. Of course, now Babbage's is, I guess, technically part of GameStop or whatever. Where they have Hills Far, which we saw. The Duel Test Drive 2. Space Quest 3. 688 Attack Sub. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Pool of Radiance, SSI Gold Box game. As I mentioned a few minutes ago. Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. King's Quest 4, F-19 Stealth Fighter. Software Etc. Man, that's where we used to have a Software Etc. when I was growing up. We didn't have anything else. I don't think. Like later we got a Funko Land, but I think Software Etc. was like the first like corporate video game store that we had where I lived. Battle Chess, Test Drive 2, The Duel, Hills Far. Oh, Might and Magic 2. I'm trying to look for things that aren't on the other list. Might and Magic 2. There's Sylpheed. And they have Space Quest 3 again. And then I feel like I have to mention this like every single time we see this ad, which we've seen at least 3 times now in magazines. The Acclaim wireless infrared remote controller. I have one of these complete in the box, and it's a pretty good. It's infrared, so you have to always have it pointing at the receiver. But other than that, it's a pretty good controller. It feels nice in the hand. And then what is on the back cover? Bad Dudes makes Double Dragon pale by comparison. I don't know about that. I'm not a huge fan of the original Double Dragon, but I think I'd rather play that than Bad Dudes. So that was a live read-through of Game Players issue number 3 from, what did I say, June and July? Oh, sorry, August, September. Shoot, I was way off. Or what did I said July and August. August, September, it's close enough. So there, that's it for that. That was pretty cool, I would say. Sorry, someone's asking about postcards. Envelope's still a thing. Got one for you. Yeah, postcards are always a thing. Anytime anybody wants to send a postcard, I will send you back a postcard. No money involved. So yeah. And we got 2 more super chats. Jason Tetro again. Thanks, man. You don't have to keep doing that. Appreciate it though. I'm glad this is the first live stream I got to hang out. Congrats on 8 years. I had a lot of fun hanging out with everyone. Yeah, thanks a lot for hanging out, man. This is definitely more viewers than we normally have on a live stream. So see what happens when I don't stream so often. I want to stream more often, but you know, I got a lot of different stuff I'm trying to do. And then JT Beakerman. Are you a scientist or anything, or is that just your last name? That's kind of cool, Beakerman. Like I have beakers at my job. Congrats on 8 years. I always look forward to your content and nostalgic insight. I'm glad you don't publish as often as Bithead. Well, you know, there's something to be said for publishing less often. There's something to be said for publishing more often. So I don't want to compare myself to anybody else, but I wish I published more often. I'll just say that. I think the amount I've been publishing lately is not enough. So did you ever used to watch Beakman's World? Remember Beakman's World? I used to watch that on Saturday mornings. Beakman's World. Mr. Walrus FPJ, you enjoyed the format of this episode also. Yeah, I think this is a good idea, I think, for a live stream. Although I also want to get back into, like we talked about earlier, the Zelda 2 live stream. Because like somebody else was requesting that they want me to go back to playing Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday on the Genesis, like if we could do a complete playthrough of that, which I think would be very cool. So I'm definitely not opposed at all to doing that. But like just right now, like I said earlier, it's just like I feel like everything is on hold until the PlayStation video is done, which it's getting pretty close. Like I think hopefully in the next couple weeks it'll be out on the main channel, and like once it does, like I've got like such a backlog of other videos I want to make on both channels, but part of that also is I do want to get back to live streaming, although probably not every week, but more often than now, that's for sure. Super chat, $5 from John Harris. Great content as usual. Thank you for bringing back to some of the best memories of my childhood. Well, thank you for hanging out, John. We're going to get a postcard soon from Jason Tetro. That'll be awesome. Organized Chaos. Who here is rocking a calculator watch still? I have a couple. I don't wear them. I don't know why, but I do have 2 of them. I love calculator watches for some reason, even though they're completely unnecessary. Subtle Wookie says again, Buck Rogers, yes, please. I really would like to do, like, if I'm going to do a multi-part live stream of a game again, it's definitely going to be Buck Rogers. And then maybe after that, we had talked about doing Chrono Trigger, which I've never played Chrono Trigger for more than like 5 or 10 minutes. So basically not at all. And we talked about that, I think, when Corey and I did a blind read-through of the Video Game History Foundation blind read-through together. and talked about the fact that it's not that long of a game. So I think that would be a cool multi-part thing too. But again, until the PlayStation video is done, none of that is going to be happening. So, yeah, hopefully soon. You've never heard of Beakman's World. So if you ever watched Mr. Wizard when you were a kid, like Beakman's World is like Mr. Wizard on like methamphetamines. Like I was kind of bigger into Mr. Wizard when I was a kid, but I watched Beakman's World because I just I was always into science. I'm a scientist now, and I'm saying I always found science interesting. Radbuster says, is it the launch of the PlayStation video? No, I already did the launch of the PlayStation. This is going to be like a follow-up, like the way I do with some of the other stuff, like Super Nintendo in 1991 or whatever. It's going to be that for the PlayStation. So that's about it. I don't have anything else to say. I think I have fully updated you guys on what's going on with stuff coming out. I thought that was a fun read-through. I like doing the magazine. So I think that's an option we should keep going forward, especially if the magazine covers like a single console, like if it's like, a Sega Genesis magazine or something, that makes it easier to say like, hey, let's switch the view over real quick and check the game out. Although really with the Mister, it's not a problem, except that, I like to use the original controller. So like, even though I'm playing on the Mister, I was using a Nintendo controller, a NES controller with a USB adapter. Although I did play Roston with the NES controller. That felt a little bit dirty, but the Sega Master System controller has a really bad D-pad, so I don't feel that bad about it. Anyway, that is going to do it. Bard, especially you, just because now it's like, 6:45 in the morning where you are. You are a legend, sir, for hanging out for the whole stream. So thank you very much. And thank you to everybody else. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the super chats. That's crazy. Even just thanks for the number of viewers we had, man. That was a lot of viewers. So I didn't even mention this on the main channel. I should have, but I didn't. Craig, I am going to see it. I don't know if you'll see this or not, but thanks for everything. You're one of the few YouTubers who has gotten me through some really hard times. I really appreciate you saying that, man. I'm aware that my channel has done that for people, and it means a lot that there are people that will sort of trust me or trust my show to help them get through, a tough day or whatever. So I don't take that lightly at all, and I appreciate you saying that. So, yeah, that's going to be it. Time frame for the next live show. I don't know. Corey and I talked about the fact that we need to do another blind read through. But I told him that if he wants to do it in the next week or two, the only way we can do it is if it's over on his channel. So as far as when the next one's going to be here, I really couldn't say. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, thanks to everybody for hanging out. I hope to see you guys again soon. Keep your eyes peeled on the other channel for the PlayStation video, but don't expect it for probably at least 2 weeks, I would think. If it comes out sooner than that, it would be a nice surprise, not just to you guys, but also to me. So. Yep, that's it. All right. You guys take care, and I will see you again soon.